Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, hello and welcome to this week's edition of Broken Crown. We are joined this week by Christian Watson, whose channel is linked in the description. Christian, do you want to do a little introduction of yourself and your channel and what you cover on YouTube for anybody here who might want to check your channel out? Of course, they'll get to hear your contributions to our discussion over the next couple hours, but as a preview, I suppose.
Sure, of course. So I'm Christian Watson. I cover politics and social issues and topics in my channel, but I do so through the lens of philosophy. So I take my philosophical training and I try to extract broader universal themes and principles out of the daily happenings of the world and make sense of them. And so that's basically my project. My project, particularly in the context of America, is to use that particular method to get other Americans and people around the West to realize just how important some of the ideas that we inherit are. You know, the ideas of classical liberalism, for example, which is a uniquely Western invention, the ideas of individualism, which is also a Western invention, and to sort of emphasize those ideas amid the postmodern chaos that we're currently experiencing with wokeness and other things of that sort. So that's the short answer of what I do and what I aspire to achieve.
Very cool. Thanks. And thanks so much for joining us. I really do appreciate the idea of trying to see the values in liberalism, because I think it does have value. It's one of the things that we talk about as monarchists, of course, is the failures of liberalism, unfortunately. But is it the failures of liberalism because of the societies in which it exists more so than liberalism as an idea inherently? Because, right, we think more the problem is, and particularly myself as a libertarian, so I'm describing myself, Spoon can interject, obviously, I don't want to speak for both of us, that the problem is the democratic system actually stifles and steps on and eventually degrades the rights that are bestowed under a liberal system because of the corruption of oligarchy that basically comes along with it inherent. So I don't know if you agree with that, Spoon.
Which that the democratic apparatus is the
that liberalism is a good idea. That liberalism is a good idea, but there are problems within the democratic apparatus.
I think liberalism as a philosophy is not bad. The problem is that people get a kick out of the destroying things that are oppressive, and that doesn't stop. That's where it goes off the rails. It's like it becomes a drug. And then people think like, oh, these things are oppressive because we removed X and then we got good result Y. And then suddenly you realize that you're running out of X things to remove that induce result Y. And then sooner or later you realize that, oh, look, these things that we destructed before were not oppressive. They were called standards. And then things tend to go really, really bad downhill, like the fat phobia thing. Like, oh, look, if you... you can't be in shape because that's superior. Like, yes, that's kind of the point. Like, there's an aesthetic to being healthy, like both for a physically appreciative stance, and it's also because you live longer. It's not oppressive. That's high. How come this is how we make species better? Is be fit humans. You weirdos.
I'm not sure if that's inherently liberalism. You're talking about maybe like people constantly needing a new dragon to conquer, right?
Yeah, but like I'm saying, like it gets absurd to the point where you have a go at people for being in shape. Because it's somehow oppressive.
Again, it's gone off the rails for sure.
Yes. That's where it goes too far.
Yeah, and I think that it would do us a lot of good to distinguish, what are the perils of classical liberalism and what are its merits. And there, a lot of what you're saying, Spoon, is I think on the point. But I as Aidan said, it's not that this sort of constant iconoclasm is not inherent to classical liberalism. Classical liberalism simply identifies a few core values, one of them being that the individual as a unit in reality, it has value by virtue of their ability to reason, and their ability to reason allows them to discover these their rights and things of that sort, and then it also allows them to construct just societies based upon restraint, consent of the governed, things of that sort. Now, the problem with this is that it only provides a baseline for a kind of society. It doesn't tell you what you need in that society. So the sort of emphasis on individual liberty will not tell you to go to church. It will not tell you to go do charity.
Yeah.
It will not tell you to go help the poor.
No, absolutely.
But you need to have the individual liberty to do any of those things. So liberty is a prerequisite for virtue.
Yes.
And this is something that I think a lot of people in their critiques of liberalism don't necessarily get. It's like when a construction worker is given a hammer, right? Liberalism is the hammer. If the construction worker is not particularly experienced or does not know how to use the hammer, that hammer will end up being used in disastrous ways. But if the construction worker is instilled with a sense of how to use the hammer, he can use it in a pretty good way. Liberalism does not assume that there is one single way for everybody to use that hammer, but there definitely is a way for you not to use that hammer, and that is not to violate the rights and the bodies of others. But in any other case, you have to choose how do you want to live your life. And there are some ways that are destructive, and there are some ways that are better. And as an individual wielding the hammer of liberty, I want to try to guide people, if they'll listen to me, to ways that'll be better, that I think might be better. Again, I don't presume to know how to run people's lives. I think this is the folly of authoritarianism. Authoritarians presume to know how to run people's lives. But so the problem of liberalism is not necessarily a problem of liberalism. It's the problem of a population that doesn't understand how to handle liberty.
I would agree, and that's one of the values of well, okay, so the American experiment was working fairly well,
Yeah.
up until the really like the 1920s is when things started to really go downhill. I mean, I would say you have the first start of the massive over reach of the federal government at the end of the Civil War for a good cause, obviously, or what was seen as a good cause, and what really I think at the time couldn't have been understood as, by doing this, we are expanding the role of the federal government far beyond what the founding fathers intended of it to be, and not knowing where that's going to go in just
Hamilton had some interesting points.
Right. But the other things that have happened in that same really over the last 100 years, where we've really started to see the cracks appear in the power of the American democratic Republican system, is as we've abandoned things like God, is as we've abandoned things like family and fatherhood and patriarchy, and now that word is evil. Even to say the word patriarchy, it's evil. So these founding moral sort of and ethical frameworks, and it's one thing that I think monarchy does have sort of baked into it, is that there is a moral system. I don't think that actually Moldbug agrees with that, Spoon. Since we were listening to Moldbug earlier, and he seemed to disagree with the idea of, did you get that impression that he doesn't think that there needs to be an ethical system tied to the monarchy?
Yeah,
because I think there does.
Yeah, I actually think that it does.
He's
That's
being correct
one of
on
the
that.
that's one of the things I find unusual about him. As far as the previous thing goes, I don't think liberalism is necessarily the key to the destruction, so to speak. But I'm saying it can be made into the poison. It is that.
That's very good. I agree with that completely. That it's. You got to figure out
it can go
how to
too
balance
far,
it.
Yeah. But I do agree, and this is something I've been trying to wrestle with, and I asked Scump about that as well. Is from what I can see, is the Enlightenment values, as good as they are for things like rationality, they don't have an ethic for how does one live a fruitful life. It's good for like economic organization of society in terms of prosperity, but that's where it stops. And it doesn't go further than that.
I'm not sure inherently. I think it's again like how it's implemented, maybe. Sorry, Christian.
I think no problem. I think the Enlightenment gets a bad rap. In all honesty,
we're not the biggest fans around here. Just saying.
Yeah, I understand. And there's lots. I mean, the same Enlightenment that gave you the American experiment is the same Enlightenment that gave you Robespierre. So I'm not going to presume that the Enlightenment is entirely all good. There, and like any era of history has its good and its bad, but. There definitely, there definitely
the Autobahn, yeah.
There definitely were ethical systems that came out of the Enlightenment that do go beyond the ethic of restraint that liberalism has. So, for example, the sort of 17th century natural law theorists, and I do a lot of work relating to them. They didn't presume, like Aristotle, to tell you necessarily what kind of virtues you're supposed to go towards, but they did presume to say that there are certain activities that you should avoid by virtue of it impeding the quality of life you can have, impeding, how you can survive as a human being. And there are certain duties that you also have to ensure that you will stay within your proper limits as a human being. And from that, they fashioned all kind of ethical suggestions and some even requirements for how people are supposed to live according to the law of nature. So, for example, contracts. When you enter into a contract with someone, you're supposed to fulfill your debt, supposed to fulfill your side of the contract. If you don't, you get punished. You have a duty to yourself to have a sound mind, because if you don't have a sound mind, if you don't fill your mind with things that will help you be a stronger and better person, you will cater to the passions, and the passions will overtake you. You no longer be a man of reason. There's a lot of other things. The natural law theorists also thought that human beings were inherently social creatures, much like the philosophers before them, the Stoics, Aristotle, all that kind of people. And they thought that the sociability of man put an emphasis on us to be responsible to our communities into groups. Now, obviously, some of them believed that self-interest guided you into those groups of communities. Others didn't. But regardless of what side they took, they still believed that community and society was an important part of being a person, of growing as a person. So the Enlightenment does have more than a sort of atomistic ethic to it. It does have more to it than that. But the problem is, a lot of people will only take certain parts of certain Enlightenment theories and apply them to their own purposes, as opposed to deeply studying these theories, going in and reading thinkers like Grotius and Calms and people from the Scottish Enlightenment and all kind of folks, and dealing with what they're saying. I think that if people actually dealt with what these people are saying, liberalism would be seen in a better light, I think.
It's fascinating to me. I think you are correct in that I think it can work. It has to be in a certain society, though, that allows for that to come to fruition, and it can't be the picking and choosing. It has to be under a certain number of circumstances that allow it to exist. Someone said this here in the chat here. I think something about it that I agreed with. But don't know if I can find it now.
Which?
Liberalism works for God-fearing people, a quote from the Mad American Lads. I'm not familiar with that, but I think that's certainly part of it. God is part of it. Family is part of it. When we abandon all of those things, it makes it difficult. And we hyper focus on the individualism aspect as being superseding all other elements of society, which is what has come out of it.
This was
horrifyingly enough.
This was like listening to John Stossel talk to Ben Shapiro. Because the one is the conservative and the one is the libertarian. And the argument was basically, libertarianism is good, but it needs a moral foundation. That's where the conservative would come in. And they would complement each other quite well. Because there's a lot of overlap between the two. The one thing that they don't really overlap well is the moral part. Because the conservatives think, well, you need some moral aspect. And the libertarians think, like, no, your moral aspect goes too far.
Or they think that the morality comes from within and that, I'm speaking as a libertarian, I suppose, but I think that's part of the problem, and it's been particularly endemic in the West over the last 60, 70 years, which has been the abandonment of all morality or the obfuscation of morality because of ideas that come from, let's be honest, the communist sort of movement, which is anti-theist directly, and along with anti-theism comes a lack of what we would call traditional morality, and that's and a hyper focus on materialism and on
that one.
Materialism has been extremely well. To quote old Ted K, the Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been devastating. Do you know what I mean? I don't. It's horrible when you have to quote Ted Kaczynski and be like, maybe he had a point.
Yeah, no, it's I have a few points to that. So libertarianism, in my opinion, is not merely a political philosophy. When it's properly understood, it's also a moral philosophy. Now, this may sound confusing, but I think it's coherent. Now, in libertarianism today, there are two ethical viewpoints. There are what we call the deontologists, people who believe that if you're going to be moral, you have to follow a certain set of principles or precepts by virtue of those principles or precepts. Then there's the utilitarians, like David Friedman, Milton Friedman's son, who believe in utilitarianism, and like the late Ludwig von Mises, who also was a very much utilitarian, said that natural law was bunk, didn't believe in it at all. And the utilitarians sometimes are much louder than the old school natural law, natural rights libertarians. The old school natural law, natural rights libertarians like Murray Rothbard and Frank Meyer, those are people who would take great offense to anyone who tried to separate libertarianism or liberty as a political principle from the necessary moral requirements of a free people. And I'm part of that school. I would take great offense to that as well. But unfortunately, there are some hedonists in the libertarian camp that try to do that. I see classical liberalism. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, just real quick to interject, the hedonism aspect of the Libertarian Party is extremely harmful to
Toxic.
it.
Absolutely.
Deleterious, whatever word you want to use. It's toxic, yes.
Deleterious, it is parasitic, it is many things. Now, I see libertarianism, I see constitutional conservatism, which is a term that I kind of take, meaning that I believe in the principles that undergird the Constitution in America. I see all of that as really resting on a statement of fact. And the statement of fact is that all men are free. All men, women, they're all free by virtue of being human beings. That's the fact that liberalism deals with. And it tries to create a political system from that. So when people say that liberalism only works for a God-fearing people, again, if it's going to be a weird analogy, but imagine, like example, we are human beings, we have hands, right? It'd be like saying that, using your hands only works if you know how to use your hands. But the point is, if you want to live any kind of life at all, you're going to have to learn how to use your hands. If you're going to live a good life or whatever, you're going to learn how to use your hands. It's a central part of being a human being. Even people who don't have hands, sometimes they have limbs, or they have bionic limbs, or they have other ways to get around not having hands. But essentially,
God, I just watched.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. My interjection is you're saying something really eloquent, but I watched this true crime shit, so I just watched a true crime story about a woman who had both of her arms cut off. So yes, you can get around in life, though. But yes, sorry, my brain just went back to that horrible story.
Yeah, no, you can get around. It's just much more difficult.
Yeah,
but liberty is the same kind of way. Liberty is an inherent feature of who you are as a person. So to say that classical liberalism doesn't work, therefore we need a new system, that's fine, but is that system going to be based on the same axiom that all men are free? If it's not, that system, by virtue of rejecting a fact, will not work. It will be unjust. It will cater to authoritarianism. It will be everything that is not okay in terms of what a political system should be. But if you have a system, and by the way, the natural law theorists, they were working under monarchies in the 17th century.
Yes.
And some of them were actually fine. I think Locke himself, he didn't believe in the divine right. He completely excoriated Filmer. He ripped Filmer apart. I mean, just limb by limb. It was embarrassing. But as far as monarchy goes, if you had a monarchy that sort of has a representative government beneath it, or something of that sort, I think you could have that cohere with the natural law conception of liberty.
I mean, that's what Erich von Kuhnert-Lenin proposed, which I generally tend to align with. Spoon does not, but
no, I figured the absolute monarch, no constitutional.
The thing that there with that idea of liberty and freedom, and I agree that is key, but it also has to be, how is that protected within the society around it? Because otherwise it can be corrupted, otherwise it can be degraded, it can be rotted essentially by external views that twist what does it mean to be free, and
what I think is the big contention. I think this is where it gets scrambled, where people try to interchange free with equal. That's where it gets messed up.
Right. So, for example, under the monarchistic system, right? So when we talk about to Americans in particular, speaking as an American as well, when you ask Americans what is freedom, so many times they'll say the right to vote. That's freedom. And I'm not really sure that actually is freedom. In fact, I don't think it is. I think that there's many things that are freedom, but I think that voting rights in particular are not necessarily a part of it, and are not a requirement or prerequisite for liberty to exist.
Agreed.
For example, one of the things that I've someone was asking about on Twitter the other day is I took this little political test thingy, or not test. It was you mark off a space, the things you believe in. And I put in absolute monarchy, which to be fair, they didn't have the constitutional monarchy one, Spoon. I marked that off, and I marked off in favor of ANCAP, and they said somebody said, well, that's
I have it here actually.
And I said, no, it's not. Well, I don't even know if I actually responded to this person. I think I just talked to Spoon about why it's not. The reason why it's not necessarily contradictory, it can be. The reason why it's not necessarily contradictory is that if you have an anarcho-capitalist society, which is very, very high in liberty in terms of individual liberties to do all kinds of things with the economy, but that when they've done things like that, like Catalonia, it needs some kind of overarching society to protect those liberties, because otherwise those liberties can become corrupted, they can become warped, and that's why you need overarching. I'm going to use the word. It's not a word that's very well liked anymore by many people, but hierarchies. A hierarchy of society that's going to preserve and protect the liberty. Unfortunately, when it's just now, hierarchies can also be horrible. An oligarchic system that exists extra-governmentally and rules without any accountability.
That's what just said, by the way.
Yeah, well,
the right to vote is the right to have your voice drowned out in a storm. Yeah, Ledden said the same thing. It's just essentially that if you vote, you're essentially like an atomized vote in a sea of many. Yeah, and unless you are with the winning group, your vote essentially means nothing. And because of that, there's people don't feel the need to necessarily devote into getting themselves politically educated in the point where it would actually matter, because in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't.
It just becomes a social identity theory, or it just goes into social identity theory, which is that it becomes tribalistic. People don't care about anything other than my side wins. And in fact, we can literally see this in the data. We can see this in the data that as the oligarchy and the bureaucracy of the United States has grown, individual liberty has decreased. And what has increased is the animus between people of these two political parties that actually often they do disagree on things, but what the parties actually do is largely barely any different. Again, conservatives in the United States are just left, the Democrats doing the speed limit. And what we found, though, is that the amount of like hatred in people towards the other side has
exploded,
gone up massively in just the last 30 years. People didn't used to hate their neighbors. Now they hate each other. And that is, I do believe, a process of liberalism gone awry, gone off of the...
I would say that's more consequence of the political structure rather than liberalism.
Yes. But I'm saying, but it said that it's liberalism being applied incorrectly without an overarching structure with which to manage it, essentially, or the overarching structure is cancerous.
So a few things. There's nothing in a liberal society stopping the society from having an overarching structure. It's just not preordained. That's the thing. And even in liberal societies, I mean, America, I would say America is large. Compared to almost every other country on the earth right now, America is a pretty classical liberal society. It's not as classical liberal as I wish it was. Unfortunately, there's a lot of tech oligarchy and corporatism and perverse private-public partnerships that are running a lot of the major things in the country. I mean, so that's not really, but still. Even in a classical liberal society, we do have natural organic hierarchies. So, for example, universities, businesses, universities, the fact that there is status in society, Hollywood, that in the entertainment industry, different industries that do different things. These create hierarchies, whether these be very useful hierarchies or just superficial ones is a little bit immaterial. These create hierarchies. Jennifer Aniston or Johnny Depp are going to be listened more by virtue of their status than it was Joe Schmo from down the street.
Of course.
It's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
They're going. George Clooney can go in front of the Sudanese embassy and scream and shout and get carried off in handcuffs and be back on his private island the next day. That's a hierarchy, you know? And so the thing is, you have to get people in a liberal society who recognize the value of proper hierarchies, like families, things of that sort, and have them organized in that way. And for a very long time in American society, those kind of hierarchies, like families, and you would have the community hierarchies. You would, the community would step in to help people. In fact, prior to the 1920s, healthcare was largely a community. In parts of America, was a community-based, fraternal-based, actually, thing. The fraternities would step in to help people in their fraternity who needed healthcare. Those kind of hierarchies, which are also organic, are very beneficial. The problem with political systems that try to preordain hierarchies is that it presumes the infallibility of fallible structures. And that's
No.
one of the reasons why I'm not entirely sure I can get on board with monarchy, per se. I don't hate it as an idea. I just don't think that you're going to make people virtuous by having a preordained structure. I think organic structures that people can relate to and understand are better than preordained structures.
I never
Um,
thought of monarchy in that kind of a sense.
Well, I think
In what sense do you mean monarchy, then? I'm curious.
No, as in the reason I became a monarch is mainly because of power. Is because the democratic structure is known for leaking power, and like Molbach at this point of when he was on Tucker, it basically just said that if you look at the way that the democratic model works, is that it leaks power and absolves its responsibility to like the universities. Essentially, what we do with COVID. That's a good example.
Oh god, yeah.
Yes, and then you have this giant apparatus that sits below the surface, and the voting is you're essentially interchanging like 5% of the apparatus, whereas the other 95% remains unscathed, and they're just like the permanent bureaucracy, and that's the problem.
Yes, the cathedral,
Yes.
and it's
Yes,
well,
the
yeah. I mean, that's
cathedral.
literally Molbug's terminology for it. But that
Yes.
is the truth is that whoever comes into who is elected, whatever that does produce, they put people into power who are not elected and who do not leave, no matter what. So
and also,
that degrades consistently over time in terms of the liberty of the system, wherein you have more and more people who are, as we will get into. I'm enjoying this conversation, but we'll get into some of the news in a little bit, because as we're seeing with the IRS now, is that the IRS has basically just become a military force.
Yeah, essentially. I was watching a guy as well. It's the two American guys, and they were also discussing absolute versus constitutional. And Ledden also makes a point in his books that the absolute monarchies of previous eras have nowhere near as much power as a republic or democracy of today. Not because the state is way bigger.
Yeah, I mean that is true.
The state is significantly larger. So, and he just said like if an absolute monarchist saw the size of the state today, they'd be green with envy, because there's way more power in the state apparatus today than there is an absolute monarchy has ever had in any point during history.
It's something that we've sort of forgotten. Well, not forgotten about. It's because there are really no absolute monarchies left. There's a couple. Then
Saudi Arabia.
It's just like Saudi Arabia and North Korea, unfortunately. So like I don't know how much you can
monarchy. That's a bastardization.
Yeah, it's just, yes, it's just a totalitarian system. But if someone is trying to insult us, they're like, oh, North Korea. Okay, all right. Well, I think it's a point you could argue. I just would disagree. The point is there really are no absolute.
Who are the other ones? Monaco and Liechtenstein, and there's one other one.
Luxembourg.
There we go. And I don't think any of them are absolutes.
No, Monaco and Luxembourg are not, and Liechtenstein. None of them are. All of them are constitutional monarchies. Oh. It's just that Monaco and Luxembourg are the two wealthiest nations. That's why I've brought them up before, is because they're the two wealthiest per GDP, and have
I bet you the crime
really high. Crime rates are extremely low. Quality of life is really high. They're constitutional monarchies, but we have to be very clear when we talk about Monaco and Luxembourg is that they are extremely small countries. A lot easier to run something like that, I would imagine. I've never run a country, but I would imagine that if it's a little bit smaller, is less massive potential for corruption and oligarchy to deal with. Yeah, but I think ultimately the reason why we've decided on monarchy, among other reasons, is because it does have this one person who is the head of the Hydra, or instead of the head of the snake,
so
right?
Many of them, yeah.
And instead of we're in a democratic system or a democratic republic or really anything else other than monarchy, and monarchy can struggle with this problem too, but it's a little bit easier to contain because, again, as Spoon mentioned with Kunat Lenin, is that the extent of power under the traditional monarchies of the past was so much smaller. Now we have to put all this into a big time capsule because since they haven't really existed for the most part in about 300 years, how we bring that into a post-industrial society? Would it still work in a post-industrial society to the same way? I don't know, but I would theorize it would. Kunat Lenin theorized it would. And the thing is, it's interesting, really quickly, while I'm on this point though, is that many of the scholars that we read are also from about like 100 years ago. And it was funny that in your debate with Sitch and Adam that I think they criticized you for reading older scholars.
How dare you look at older knowledge while these people sin for the Enlightenment, which makes no fucking sense.
Oh yeah.
It's
Those
very
people knew,
bizarre.
a lot of these people knew things, and their knowledge is worth rediscovering. If
They sound so much smarter than today's thinkers. It's unbelievable. Like, holy
it
crap.
really is. It really is.
If you spend an hour with Aristotle or with
I know.
Plato or with Spinoza or with any of those people,
Mhm.
you will benefit 10,000
Spinoza
times
for sure
more
too.
than-
Gee, I barely understand Spinoza, and I've tried
Spinoza.
to read.
I was reading the Tractus Politicus last night just to go over some of his views. I was bored, and he is very dense, very difficult to understand. I had to do a paper on the Theological Tractus Politicus in college a few years ago. But no, it was interesting. But yeah, if you spend any time with those thinkers, you're going to be benefited more than if you spend time with, I don't know, any random philosopher from the past 50 years. Now, I want to be charitable. Bertrand Russell,
Yes,
people like
Bertrand.
them. There are some very brilliant contemporary philosophers that have come out. Even the existentialists, right? You've got Camus, you've got Sartre. I fundamentally disagree with their worldview.
I'm not a fan of Sartre.
No, I think Jean-Paul Sartre was a creep. I think that he was a Marxist hack. I think there's a lot of things about him I don't like. But having said that, I'm impressed by the level of abstraction that his thinking takes. I'm impressed. I'm thoroughly impressed.
Camus, Michael Malice will get pissed off.
It's
he's a big fan of Camus.
You do have to this is something that I find is an interesting byproduct of I don't even know exactly what of modernism, I suppose, that rejects the idea that the thinkers of the past could have anything valuable to say in the modern day, and that is so fundamentally false. I'm
It's very
again, I'm a social
arrogant as well.
It is arrogant, and as a social scientist, I see this often. Is people will comment on a video, and it's like I cite a study. First of all, social science as a field has only existed for like 70 years, so it's quite new. But I'll cite a study from like 1980, and someone will go, "That doesn't matter anymore," and I go, "Why?" It depends. It depends. It depends on what kind of study it is. If it's a study about something very specific that was happening in the 80s or whatever, like if I made a video recently about housing prices. If it was about that's a little bit more temporally based. If it's about I'm trying to think of something that wouldn't change necessarily over time. Male and female interactions, in general. Why would that
your constitution maybe?
Sure. Why would that change? Why would male and female interactions as a necessity change in 30 years? That doesn't make any sense. But so when people go, "Oh, that's old. Why don't you cite something newer?" It's like, well, I'm citing this. Usually, when I cite something that old, it's because it's foundational. So let's lay the foundation.
Right.
But the other reason why is because if you have to give me a reason as to why something that is endemic to the human condition, like let's say male and female love, right, would change in 30 years or 40 or 50 years. Why would that change? You're going to have to provide me with
only in
reasons
that
why.
culture.
Or in any culture. Why would it change? If we find these consistent results over years, why would it change? And because why would the human condition change in 50 years? Has it changed in the way that people hook up? Yes, obviously, that kind of stuff.
OnlyFans and Tinder, that's probably a big one.
The idea of love, though, and stuff.
Technology.
But when I get into my videos are almost always about technology to some degree. The point being, though, the point I was trying to make initially is it's actually quite, I think, important that we go back and read the things that scholars of the past had to say, philosophers, because sometimes they were looking at things from a perspective that is very different from ours in the modern day, where it is obfuscated by technology and it is obfuscated by modernism. And yet there's, again, someone's got to have to tell me why, even in 500 years, why humans somehow evolved to be different than they were from the observations of people from 500 or 400 or 300 years ago, etc. I would need a good explanation as to why society can change, yes, but the human condition, it doesn't change that quickly.
I agree. Yeah, correct. Some would even say, and I would agree, that it doesn't really change much at all. If you actually examine the structure of man, it doesn't really change much at all. The stimuli that he has at his disposal, that definitely changes, right?
That's changed drastically with the advent of technology.
Precisely. You go
Mhm.
200 years ago, you're living in a colonial town. You don't have nearly as much stimuli as you have living in New York City in 21st century. It's almost like you're getting drowned out. All your senses are being drowned out by all the sensations, the noises, the sounds, the smells, everything that you would have living in a major city. And that does impact how man sees himself. It impacts how he sees his world. It's one of the reasons why I think living in those massive cities and not ever going out can be dangerous. Because that's just not I don't want to say normal, because normal is relative. I think in some cases it's relative, but it's just not something that human beings are. What's the word? We're not primed for that level of sensory overload. We have to have a break. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
that's my.
you're not conditioned to take that much of a pounding, essentially.
It's my primary area of study. Of course, is media psychology, and
Yeah.
are we as a species primed or able to deal with the level of stimuli that we're now exposed to? No, not at all. Not
Right.
at all. I can. Nope. It is. It's almost at almost every level. It's not healthy, and it's difficult for me to accept that at first, because I was a light side scholar and still call myself a light side scholar, which is I'm looking for the positive effects of media. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, maybe that's the problem. Maybe that wasn't the case. Maybe no. Okay, you have to real quick, Spin. You have to understand. The vast majority of media scholars are dark side, meaning they're like, oh, what bad thing did the internet do today to somebody's mindset? And I was like, no, I bet it did good things too. And then
It's like the argument for 4chan right now, by the way.
kind of. Oh, actually, I have a lot of research on why 4chan is beneficial to mental health, but excuse me on that one. Yeah, it's called.
Can you say me that? I'm curious as to why that is.
It's called the strangers on a train effect, benign disinhibition. Strangers on a train effect, benign disinhibition. Of course, Zimbardo initially in 1979 and 1981 discovers the de-individuation effect, which is anonymity, and that his that one of those is the Stanford prison experiment. I would cite 79 over 81, but am I getting those dates mixed up? Whatever. Not the Stanford prison experiment, the bag experiment that he did like 2 years earlier. Showed that people would be really, really violent to people when they were anonymized. Yes, anonymous research starts out very, very, very bad. Anonymity is bad. But then later,
look at Twitter for that.
Sure, but then later research that came out in the early 2000s with MUDs and MOOs, which if you're not familiar with what those are, and there's no reason you would, is they were called multi-user dungeons or multi-object. What was MOO stand for again? They were like really early internet forums and spaces where people chat rooms. And what they found, and they were highly anonymized, of course. And what they found with that is that there was this two divergent patterns to it. There's toxic disinhibition, which is people will they'll troll, they'll be awful because they're anonymized. And then you have benign disinhibition. I should stress it's called benign and it's not called positive disinhibition. It's called benign as in harmless. But we have found some positive effects of self-disclosure. That because you know that you are not going to get in trouble for things that you say because you're anonymous, people are more willing to disclose very personal elements of themselves. And that can be helpful to their psychology. Also, there's something called within the CMC, the computer-mediated communication literature, the hyperpersonal model of communication effects, which is, why am I doing this? Which is that people can get to know each other very, very quickly online, which can be good or bad. But it can make people feel like they know other people very quickly, and that can be quite positive. So there are some positives of the internet in terms of human communication. It makes people feel less lonely. It lets people express themselves in some ways that they might be too afraid to otherwise. But other than that, yeah, it's a lot of negativity. Sorry, that was a total aside. That was
interesting. No, I'm not surprised. Yeah. Some people, when they're not when they can't be held accountable, go crazy. They go wild and they do things that they would never.
Politicians.
Politicians are one of them. Politicians are one of them, right? So accountability is very important, and that's why I think Hobbes was only partially correct. Hobbes thought that man needed the state to be good at all. I think that's absolute bunk.
Yeah.
But I think that if you extract the principle that man needs accountability, and then if you ask the question, okay, where can accountability come from? Well, accountability can come from, and it probably most effectively comes from those who are around you. your family, those who are immediately related to you, those your friends. And if you have people, a structure around you holding you accountable, not at all times, but generally, I think that you'll be able to you have a better guide in life than someone who is not accountable and who is just left to the wild to do whatever they want whenever they want. But again, the question becomes: does this come from the state or does this come from society? I think this properly comes from society, and it should come from society.
I agree.
But a lot of people have given up on that answer because it doesn't give them the result they think that they'll get with the former answer. So it's just thought right there.
Out of curiosity, Christian, have you ever read H.L. Mencken, by any chance?
Of course I have. Oh yeah. I actually have a compendium of his works sitting in my library.
Because his work on democracy is like really brutal. Like, god damn, it's rough.
No, he's absolutely correct. No, he's correct too.
His writing is very, very
iconoclastic, very
I was going to say delicious to read if I was going to like just be like as gay as I possibly can to like give him a compliment.
Iconoclastic is also the way I would describe Mencken's writing, but it's fascinating.
He's not someone you can casually read. You have to like really pay attention. It's very dense.
It's written in the parlance of his era. It's unfortunate. Mencken was around like about 100 years and some change ago.
Yeah,
and it's upsetting how much the quality of writing in newspapers has deteriorated from that.
Oh my god! When you compare him to modern newspapers, jeez, it is amazing. It is like you're reading two different worlds. It's insane.
It is bizarre that he was writing in newspapers. If you think to the modern quality today, it's just flabbergasting.
He would be accused of being extremely pretentious by today's standards. Absolutely.
He wouldn't survive today. Maybe if he had like a YouTube channel or something like that.
Right, maybe.
With the thing he said, he might get censored. So,
he definitely said some. How can we say this politely? Product of the times kind of rhetoric.
Exactly, absolutely. But Mencken was actually. He was actually. There's a lot of good qualities about him. He fought. He excoriated the Klan. He excoriated bureaucratic pretension. He brought a few black writers under his wing who he thought had potential. In that time, a time when there was still Jim Crow. I mean, there's a lot of good things to like about Mencken, and I think that he's not so much a profound thinker as he was a great wit and a good writer, someone who could formulate.
His writing was definitely his prowess. Absolutely.
Right. He was a good wit and a good biographer too. He was a good biographer of Nietzsche as well, but he wasn't necessarily a profound thinker. But he didn't have to be. He was working from a set of principles that had been around for a very long time. He was more libertarian than anything else. And, he simply applied them to current events and did so in a way that no one, and I think American literature history has even come close to, from what I've studied. I haven't studied everybody, but I've studied a lot. I don't think that anyone comes close to Mencken. Sincerely.
I do remember there was one quote about him that I really liked, where he essentially said that a politician is someone that has to make so many compromises to get anyone to office. Like he's basically just as slowly as a streetwalker. And like, damn, that is very true. Actually, it's like if you look at like the amount of hoops you have to go through in politics, unless you're Trump, in which case you're someone that seems to just go like, no, fuck you, I'll just do whatever I want.
Exactly,
which is really weird because it's
interesting in that way.
Yeah, it's because it's weird to me when people look at it like that, because the one thing. It's weird to me how the left and the right looks at it, because the one people will say, we like someone that has that kind of spine that stands up to anything. And the other side is that, no, because that kind of person will just like take control and be tyrannical. But it was like, but the system is so corrupt that they don't want to know how far. They essentially think that if you give someone that kind of power, you will end up with like a bad monarchy. And the other people think, well, it's now so corrupt, you kind of need to go guns blazing to kick the system down, because you can't fix it with incrementalism. That's the point. And that's where we find ourselves now.
I think we need to rip the roots out of the off this tree and just throw it over, and then plant some new things. I mean,
clearly, I think
that's it sounds like revolution, but really, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I think it's essential, and I'm going to just say this: it's essential that Donald Trump runs and wins 2024, because I think that with the momentum he has right now, with everything that's happened over the past few days with the FBI and things of that sort, he's going to take a sledgehammer to the surveillance state and the administrative state in a way that no other president has done if he gets into office again and if he's not killed. I promise you he will. Because right now, there is such a political fervor for it. When he was in office before, he was guided by the advice of a lot of swamp creatures who were in...
Swamp creatures.
Yeah, and they're like, President Trump, just don't do that. If he came back in office again, he wouldn't care. He would absolutely just throw this and get people.
I
certainly
also
hope
think
that's correct.
the other reason why it's good for him to do it now is because in his first term, he's also worried about getting elected and re-elected. That's the thing. Whereas now, that is no longer over his head. Now it's like, I just have 4 years where I can fucking wreck shit.
Yes.
And then, and then have someone under his wing, like Ron DeSantis or Ron Paul, that can sort of take the mantle and go apeshit with it. Because
Ron Paul, which I love, is a bit old, but
unfortunately, it wouldn't be Ron Paul.
Rand Paul, sorry, not Ron.
Oh well, Ron's too old. I love Ron Paul. I voted for him. My first person I ever voted for president. Wrote him in. Don't give a shit.
I love that man.
I love him too. Because he loves America. He truly, actually, from my perspective, as far as I can tell, he actually seems to care about this country. He cares about liberty. Truly cares about liberty. And all the Civil War talk, like I get that it's attractive
it's a meme.
For clicks and stuff. Yes, it's a nice meme. I think we can still fix this country. I say this. Even though I live in the UK, but we can still fix the country.
Can I make a joke? But I generally think this is true. I think Tim Pool, because he's so big, has managed to manipulate the algorithm by overusing that word just based on the size of his
Civil
channel.
War.
Yes,
Probably.
I actually think he's managed to pull that off. I legitimately, when I see how many times he uses it, I'm like, you're one of the biggest channels on YouTube that uses that word, Tim, and I guarantee you've made that an algorithm gimmick.
We'll have to actually. This seems like a good transition point to get into the news, because we were talking about. I really
Cheney getting her ass kicked.
I've actually really enjoyed this just like pure political philosophical conversation. But I wanted to do a couple super chats that have come in, and then we'll get into some of our news, because it relates to some of many of the things we were talking about, either directly or indirectly. Error says, "Hey, guest type or new for 20." Says, "Found out that I'm going to have a permanent scar on my thumb from slicing it open with a sickle." Bro, you're doing communism. Stop doing communism.
I can feel you there. My pinky is also scarred because I chopped a bit of it off as well.
I've also chopped a bit of my finger off. I think, we're all chopped off finger, gang. My mower finally kicked the bucket, and I had to wash urine off 3 dogs, yet I can't stop grinning from the news today. I'm guess you're grinning about Cheney, because it's quite funny. RP for 5 says, "Hello, Dommy Mommy, and thanks for tweeting out the stream. Tongue face, yeah, thank you, RP."
I don't know what to make of that.
I don't know what to make of that
surreal,
either.
Yeah.
Kizza for £5 says, "If you guys want to laugh, look up 3 Arrows' latest video, as I've dropped some salt of ignorant leftists about Democrats in the US. I have no desire to look up a 3 Arrows video. Unless I want to, I hurt myself today. But maybe if I'm feeling particularly like hurting myself, I'll watch a 3 Arrows video." Jarnegi for $50. Thank you, Jarnegi. Says, "These blank positivity movements glorifies not taking self-responsibility. These quacks then wonder why they are so miserable, looking and feeling like crap, all while distracting themselves with their fiction of their warped perspectives." Yeah, this positivity movements, that is about confusing and yourself, confusing and warping your own mind. That is not about actually feeling positive. It's about self hypnosis, and and not helping.
If I might add, interesting about the body positivity movement, because self love, and this is going to be a controversial statement, but I think it's true. It's observably true. Self love is the base principle of human social relationships. If people don't love themselves, they can't have any kind of fruitful relationships. That is the basis. And the natural law theorists say, okay, so self-love is the basis here. And we can take this on a sort of general societal level as well. We can translate it into political organizations, things of that sort. And I think that to love yourself means to understand who you are and to appreciate who you are, but it also means to recognize the limitations of Yes, limitations of your humanity and your flaws. I don't think our limitations are our flaws, but our flaws absolutely play into
Sure.
that. And if you think that you can do whatever you want to your body and it should be okay, not only do you reject the notion that you are limited as a human being, you're a finite being, you also reject the notion that your flaws are worth addressing and that they're worth dealing with in a substantial way. So the principle of self-love is actually rejected by the body positivity movement.
In an ironic twist, yes, it is.
Yeah,
It's very, the whole thing is extremely harmful. It's extremely, and it's not just the body positivity, but the any X positivity movement. Anything that is about just love yourself. No, the human condition to a certain degree is about improvement, or at least about trying to be the best person you can be. In my opinion,
yes.
If you are stagnating, then you're going to suffer mentally and physically if you're not trying to do anything to help yourself. So just being positive about what you have is not necessarily, not necessarily. Look, and I can go into the psychological data. I know for a fact that it's not healthy or positive.
I'm looking at a tweet here.
Well, you probably have something to say about that, Spoon, considering you're into into bodybuilding and stuff. How do you feel about the body positivity movement?
Well, as far as bodybuilding goes,
no,
there's not a lot of overlap as far as bodybuilding goes. Pretty much.
No, I was just saying, as a bodybuilder yourself, how do you feel about the body positivity movement?
Oh, it sucks and it can fuck off.
Okay, well, that's a less eloquent way of saying. I think.
I mean, there's definitely an element of technology going really bad as far as the bodybuilding thing goes, because I feel it's mainstream now, and I find the bodybuilding steroids thing to be very weird, because I know the people who do steroids for shows. I can understand that because it's like part of your profession, and it's a gamble, because like just in the last year, there has been a very high number of bodybuilders that have died, and it is because of diuretics. Which is.
Do you think it's diuretics? You don't think it has anything to do with the thing that should not be named?
Oh yeah, it's definitely that. But diuretics is also. I think if you mix diuretics and that, because it was always diuretic, but it wasn't this bad until it was, lately. And as far as I know, every one of them that has passed away took the needle of doom, as I call it. But I think as far as the drugs goes, it's very weird to me, because I don't know why you would do that unless you're trying to impress men, because women do not find that like steroid cloud body in any way attractive. They think it's gross.
No, you're trying to show up other dudes. I think that's what it's about. It's male competition.
Yes, but I don't understand why you have to do that. Like, I've never looked at another guy who's like 3 times my size and on roids and feel like intimidated by it. I think like kind of pity him, because my mind just thinks like, why do you do that? If it's for like your own insecurity and you're using drugs, that to me is weird.
You've got a different mindset from that guy, Spoon. That's probably what. He's probably got some self-esteem issues, maybe, and that might be why he feels the need to do that.
I mean, I can understand why there's I can understand why there's some people that do like a tiny bit of it and they get like leaner, but they still want to look like a proportioned sane people. Like if I looked like, say, a good example would be Steve Reeves. He played Hercules back in the day, like in the 50s, I want to say. Like even Arnold said, like if you look at him, you can aesthetically look at him. It's like that is a beautiful man. Like he's proportioned. He looks like a normal, sane, healthy human being. Whereas if you look at like nowadays, if you look at like who's the bodybuilder that won last? Big Ramy. Like he looks insane. Like he looks like he could kick the Hulk's ass. And like,
have you seen this particular breed of steer that's like it's a cow, but it's like, or a steer, it's like hulked out. It's super
like jacked, yeah.
It's so. I mean, it looks like that, but I think media encourages this. It's about people have become so
Hollywood.
I actually don't even think it's about competing with other men. It's about competing with this unattainable ideal
that's definitely
what you're
true.
supposed to be, and that's.
But it's also Hollywood, because Hollywood has given people like this insanely ridiculous idea. I remember watching. I can't remember who. Oh, it was Dorian Yates that was on with Rogan, and they were talking about who's the guy who played Hugh Jackman, and they're talking about like he's like in his 40s and he's doing deadlifting, and you just look
It's
at him,
crazy.
yeah, and you just think there's no way that guy's natural. And I was like, Joe, is he doing like yes he is. Like, yeah, because you could see it. Like, yes, he's obviously doing something. He's like 40 years old and he's like, jacked in a way that a 20-year-old wouldn't be naturally. It's like, yes, of course he's doing something. You can just see his physique.
I mean, like,
he's not human.
Okay, so I asked you this question before, but I think, I don't know if I asked it on air. Do you think Hassan is rooted?
Yes, 100%.
So I don't
He's
want to talk
definitely
shit, but I do find it bizarre that Hassan is in as good of a shape he is, considering he
He's
appears to
porky.
spend. He is a little porky, but he spends so much time a day. Even he spends as much time as any of the rest of us do in front of his computer doing nothing and eating food. But yet he's still quite built. So I would say my reason for thinking about Hassan is not because of his physique, it's because of his anger issues. I was like, geez, my guy.
He sounds like
so
a
mad.
person that would have to do something.
I try to deliberately avoid him. I see him trend sometimes, but I try to I try listening to one of his commentaries, if you can even call it that.
It's
and
awful.
I'm like, I don't understand the generation that follows him, and I just turned it off. Like,
No,
I had some
he'll
Because it
say
depresses
things.
you in the stupidity.
it doesn't depress. It perplexes. It makes me really
It
confused.
perplexes me. Yeah. Look, I actually like some of the Gen Z nomenclature in terms of, no cap, for real, shit be bussin'. I kind of like it. I like it. I'm an old woman. I just said all those things.
I'm in Gen Z. I'm not sure if you guys knew that. I'm in Gen
I
Z.
didn't know.
Yeah.
All right. So, how old are you, if you don't mind saying?
I'm 22.
Oh my God, we're 10 years older than you.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's me. I'm
But
22,
what? Well,
Congratulations, you're much smarter than virtually everyone else in your entire age
pretty
range.
much everyone else in your generation. I'm actually, I didn't know you were that young, my dude. But that's I am very
impressed.
impressed.
Is what she's trying to say. Yeah, there we go.
I'm very impressed by how well read and educated and just
erudite you are.
wow. I was not anywhere near that when I was 22.
I'm still learning. So
well, we're always learning throughout all of life, but you're ahead of the curve.
This is the kind of reaction I normally get when I talk to people and they don't know at first. I get various different levels. I'm not sure if you guys know who Joe Walsh is. Joe Walsh. He's like the anti-Trump guy on Twitter. Well, he's like former congressman, anti-Trump guy. He goes on CNN to badmouth conservative. He's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Pretty terrible person. But like, I had to confront him because he is allying with David Hogg on gun control. So I'm like, I'm like, hold on, why are you allying with? So I had him on my show to confront him, and anyway, it was an interesting episode because he basically agreed with everything I said and said, "Oh, Christian, the left doesn't understand. We understand them." I'm like, then why are you allying with the left? It's very interesting. Anyway, so people like that, I can't trust them. But anyway, I told him what my age was, and he was like, he began screaming, and it's always fun. It's always fun. It's fun, but.
You gotta like fucking show up all of us fucking boomers and boomer lights, and that does give me a lot of hope. I didn't realize you were that young, my dude, but that gives me a lot of hope because I do see a lot of Zoomers who seem to be kind of very tired and fed up with the media establishment nonsense that they've been sold their entire lives, and that's very hopeful. But I also see a lot of them who are just kind of
because it's boring,
like media zombies. Do you know what I mean? It's
yep.
I hope I hope they do better than we did.
In terms of media zombies, in terms of they consume everything, or is that what you mean? Like consume everything?
Yeah, constantly addicted to the phone and the screens, and they can't not even. There's not even thoughts, from what I can tell. There's not even like thinking that is happening.
The TikTokization of a generation.
Oh, there's been so much research on that because, of course, when TikTok comes out, every social scientist wants to study it. Now, it didn't really interest me, but because I read 100 studies a week. No, because I read 100 studies a week on average. Like, I have to be like, well, I'm going to read all these studies on TikTok. And
Yeah, TikTok really is a microcosm of the general problem of the internet impacting young brains. And so I read this book a bit ago called "The Shallows" by Nicholas Carr.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
Carr, and so he like
Yes.
really hones in. He asks the question, what's the difference between the literary mind, a mind that is not influenced by the digital by internet and computers and devices, and the digital mind? The digital mind is more attracted to short-term gratification, to like sort of 60-second sound bites, to non-sustaining ephemeral things.
My God.
The literary mind
This is
more
my
focused.
entire area of research, by the way.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I get to understand it.
So I think TikTok, the reason why TikTok doesn't appeal to certain people, especially some older people, there are some older folks on TikTok, but generally
TikTok is ADHD boiled
Yes.
down into I mean, it really is. It is simulated ADHD.
It's a microcosm of the digital mind, a
Yes.
mind that can't really grasp anything beyond short-term gratification, and
Yes.
that's what worries me. That's why I don't want to deal with TikTok, even though there's a lot of thought people there. I don't want to deal with it because I already get jittery sometimes when I'm not around technology. I deliberately make myself put my phone down and like go on a walk without my phone in my hand sometimes because I get
God, I gotta
jittery
do
sometimes. But God knows I don't want to be at the point where I'm just hooked 24/7. That's not good. It's not good for you. But TikTok and things like TikTok, it's not just TikTok, but it's like also like Facebook and Twitter, anything that uses
all of it.
algorithms to hack your brain is trying to get you high on their
Yes,
services.
it literally gets you
TikTok
high.
is basically a visual slot machine.
Well,
Exactly.
we've got now 15 years of data on this, and it is that it is a it's a slot machine, but in that it works in the same way, in that you push the button, you receive the endorphin, or you receive the positive haptic feedback of, oh, here's a thing that I want to see, and if you didn't like this, if you don't want to see it, you just scroll and there's a thing I want to see, and it lasts 5 seconds or 10 seconds, and then you keep scrolling. It's entirely designed. It has to have been designed by psychologists, because Twitter, Facebook tapped into it accidentally. Twitter also tapped into it accidentally, and I know that because I've read the research about how Twitter went, like, the people who invented Twitter went, what the fuck? They had no idea that what they had created was going to tap into this haptic feedback loop of the dopaminergic response from the human brain of getting a like, getting a retweet, getting a comment. And they didn't understand how much pleasure that induced into the human brain. Now, the problem is with dopaminergic response, and it's the same thing with TikTok and everything else, is that it requires increasingly more and more and more stimulus over time to maintain the initial. It is just like any other drug addiction. It is the exact same. We've now proven this definitively with data, that it's the same thing as a drug addiction, that when you start using something like TikTok or Twitter, you only need like 1 retweet. Whoa. And then you need 5, then you need 10, and you need to have more and more and more. And the human brain was not evolved to deal with this shit at all. It was not evolved in any.
That's how we deal with anything.
With all of new technology, the human brain is just not evolved.
No. I don't mean with technology. I mean with any kind of goal. Is it must be more impressive than the previous goal you reached. That's the thing with bodybuilding. That's how everyone does. Like with strength training, is I lifted 50, I must lift 60, and then 65, and then just goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Christian.
No, in response to that, Spoon, I mean, there's a saying that I have always heard. It's called "Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good." Right? And there are some people, who I think would benefit a lot by learning contentment.
Yes.
Oh, God, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
Well,
contentment can breed humility, and humility can give you perhaps a more positive outlook on the world and life.
I cannot agree more with that, because
Hmm.
and you have to find whatever your contentment is, but it needs to be outside of social media. It needs to be for you individually, so you can go. I would say meditate is maybe like a broad term, but it's whatever it is that you can get away from everything and everybody else and find your center, whatever that is for you. to just disconnect from society, whether it be digitally or physically, you know, interpersonally. You have to be able to love yourself, and you have to be able to respect yourself outside of anybody else's crap, you know. And if that's Jesus and religion, or Christian religion, or if it's
More
some other
power to you.
religion, or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Or if it's personal meditation, whatever it is, but you have to be able to disconnect, in my opinion. I think that's how you find. Now, I found true happiness through Christ, but not everyone does that. So, you know, it's up to you.
I can
Me too.
agree, but I think for some people, that thing that they're chasing is also the thing that gives their life value. Like Trump is like that. Trump's value is like, I have to be successful in things. And that's what keeps him sane, I would actually say. So I can understand the people who chase the feeling of a goal, because
Goals are good.
Yes,
Goals are good, though.
Yeah.
Goals are good.
Yeah,
Setting goals are good.
Yeah, but I think with what you're trying to say is you have to be careful with where that becomes the obsession. And then it's the fine line between where's the obsession versus where this is also keeping me sane.
Yes, if it becomes an obsession where it's hurting you, then you got to drop it. But you know, that is it. Let me get through these rest of these chats, and then I think we'll get into the news, if that's all right with you lads. Is that cool? I don't know how long. Question, by the way, you're free to leave whenever or hang out for however long you like. We've got
25 more minutes.
Okay,
So,
okay. So Kissa for £5 says, why does everyone blame liberalism for problems created by Marxism and co? Liberalism only works with strong English rules, no French/Germans.
No. I'm going to defend the Germans.
Okay. For liberalism? On their views on
Russian
liberalism? Well, understandable. RP,
come on.
RP per 5 says, monarchy with an easily implemented way of assassination is viable. I actually agree with that. Ornu for 5 says, funny story, when my grandmother was a wee lass, the IRS broke down her neighbor's door and robbed them at gunpoint. I'm not even shocked by that, Ornu.
Yeah, I'm not remotely surprised by that either.
Kessa for £5 says, Luxembourg is the home of dirty money in Europe, and they gave us EU President Juncker. I'm not familiar with Juncker personally.
He's the twat in EU Parliament.
Oh, okay. And
really?
then Ardent Party.
That's from Belgium, wasn't it?
I'm not familiar. I don't know much.
I've only lived Belgium. He's not from Luxembourg. What the fuck?
Ardent Party for 2 Canadians says, are non-dedicated philosophical voices valid? Example, Bruce Lee. Are non-dedicated philosophical voices valid? For example, Bruce Lee. Yeah, I would say so.
Bruce Lee's an interesting read.
He is interesting. Stephen Nizek for 2 says swole spoon. True. And then Ornu for $5 says the thing about Gen Z is that we are born into a dying society and every last one of us feels it instinctively. Endless war and lies. Why bother? I do understand the depressiveness of Gen Z. Shall we move into a little bit of news, though? Before, well, we still got you here, Christian. We'll move into a little bit of the news since we started to move into that direction anyway. Of Liz Cheney. Spoon, of course, I've got my. I've had my stream up. I've had my stream up of. So Liz Cheney is now the 8th never Trumper Jan 6 loser to
get owned.
Lose. So here's how 10. Do you have my my screen up? Okay, thank you. Here's how 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach Trump fared in the 2022 primary season. Let me give you the TLDR. Horribly. Liz Cheney, Wyoming, although both were elected in 2016 and were once allies. Not really. Cheney became one of Trump's fiercest critics after the Jan 6 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Blah, blah, blah. So we all know, by the way, that Cheney lost. She lost. Look at how sad she looks here.
She got fucking BTFO'd.
She got really BTFO'd. Now, the thing is, as I've said, it's been 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 of the people who wanted to, of the Republicans, or so-called Republicans, in name only, who wanted to impeach Trump, have all now been ousted. Look, I don't know what you want to call that, but it seems like Trump has some power, staying power.
Yeah, a lot actually.
Not a good idea.
Way more than the machine.
Yeah, I can't recall a period in recent political history where the president of and was basically the de facto leader of his party had this much post-election sway
It's
over
bizarre.
Even Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Barack Obama and the Obamas and the Clintons are in a certain camp of the Democratic Party, but the Bernie Sanders, Alanna Pressley, AOC, they're the ones who have the power right now in the Democratic Party.
Yes,
they don't. I mean, and even with Barack Obama, we didn't even see such a large sway. The problem is, the thing is, Trump brought in a bunch of people who wouldn't even have considered voting before. We're just losing with politics. He had them register, and they are the 24+% MAGA support that is driving the tone and tenor of the Republican Party right now. And I think, I saw this at CPAC when I was there a few weeks ago.
Oh, right, I know. I haven't been to CPAC in years, man. Would you have
it was wonderful. It was wonderful. There were unfortunately a lot of narrative agents there from Vice, trying to disrupt things. Alex Stein confronted a Vice reporter. You guys know who Alex Stein is?
The chick with the mask. That was fucking great.
Yeah. He confronted Tess Owens. I was actually I was standing right near him. I was trying to say, Alex, please don't, because he already told me, Chris, I want to make a scene. I'm like, please don't make a scene. But he made a scene. It was funny. But anyway, so he confronted several different reporters who were doing this kind of stuff. And the most egregious instance of slander coming out of that conference was the Brandon Straka incident. Where Brandon Straka was in the cage makeshift cage that he was using to do a mock sort of imprisonment of the January 6th protesters who were being held for relatively nonviolent and inoffensive offenses that and they're being lumped in as terrorists. He did a mock prison reenactment for them, and Marjorie Taylor Greene actually came in the prison cell and prayed with him. And the media just said, "Oh my gosh, they're siding with terrorists." Joe Walsh went on CNN and said that my party is siding with insurrectionists. I'm like, look, there is a crop of people. There were hundreds of people who have been charged. Only a handful have done anything violent.
And only a handful have actually even seen prosecution. We now have hundreds, at least dozens of people who did nothing violent, who have been held in prisons for now. We're closing in on 2 years without fucking trial. And I'm sorry, that violates all of your human rights as an American citizen. So 100%. Your rights have been violated, and they just wanted to pretend that, oh well, who cares? Well, guess what? Regular people freaking care that human rights are being violated because they walked into a building and walked around and looked at. By the way, what is the People's House? You paid for it, you created it, and no, it's being called a church by people like AOC. It is not a church. That is the horrifying. Well, that's what it's not. I don't know if AOC. I think AOC called it or implied this, but there was another Democrat elected leader. I can't remember who called it the sacred house.
Yeah, several of them said this was a sacred chamber. No, it's not. And by the way, all of Washington, D.C., if you walk up the area near the monument, going all the way back to Lincoln Memorial, all of that is a shrine. It's a shrine to different people. It's a shrine to Lincoln, a shrine to George Washington, a shrine to
Lincoln,
a shrine to FDR's efforts to nationalize the economy in the 1930s. That's what the World War II Memorial is. It's all a shrine. It's all idolatry, in all honesty. If you,
I like that you don't like FDR. That's very basic.
I don't know who likes FDR, but
oh my god! Do you know how many Democrats worship him?
Really?
Yeah, people love FDR.
Oh yeah, my goodness! FDR is revered by some lefties. Like my god.
Oh yeah, people love FDR. Unfortunately,
if you look up like a top 5 list of best U.S. presidents, he's almost in every fucking list.
No way.
It is very bizarre.
I had a book on my shelf called Roosevelt, FDR, Warrior of Freedom, and this biographer was basically trying to paint him as a freedom. It's so disgusting. And when I pick up that book, I'm like, I know what this book's about already. I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to be cautious while reading it because I already know what they're trying to do.
It's propaganda.
Unfortunate. It's unfortunate because you could have a pretty studious person that wants to study more about FDR, read that book, and be convinced that they're walking away with facts when they're walking away with a particular spin on his biography.
Well, they're walking away with propaganda from the sounds of it. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Exactly. So but they were trying to tar and feather everybody at CPAC. But what I saw at CPAC, a lot of people. There's actually a pretty big tent. The conservative movement is actually a pretty big tent. I was in line waiting to get in. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Oh no, it is. I think last time I was at CPAC I've been at it twice. I think last time was in 2018, I believe. And it's very corporate, I would say. Is my opinion of CPAC. But maybe it's changed. Maybe it's changed then.
Oh man, you wouldn't really. The number of salt of the earth people I saw walking on that hall really filled my heart with joy.
Oh my God! When I was there, it was every woman's in a peplum dress, every man's in a suit. Wow, really?
Oh no, you had guys in cowboy hats, cowboy boots.
Oh, wow.
You had people in Trump hats and jeans. Oh no, I was the one who was overdressed. I dressed up in my dress shirt, my coat, my sports coat, and I
got checked when I was there the first time in like 2017 because I dyed when I got doxxed. I dyed my hair bright purple to like look like my avatar, and so I had my bright purple hair in a cut like the avatar. And I was there, and everyone was like, just like staring laser eyes at me, like what the fuck? And like I actually and I was still in a peplum, like conservative style dress, if you want to call it that, and people just dagger eyes at me of like, what the fuck is this lefty doing here? That's astonishing to me. I haven't been there in 5 years. Look what's changed.
It's because of Donald Trump. I mean, he is the one. His presence has literally emanated down to the very standards that CPAC has for their conferences. Not saying it's a bad thing; it's a great thing. Because I could have just went there in jeans and a plain T-shirt. I would have been just fine. And that's the beauty of it. I mean, that moment kind of represents just how porous the political world is now after Donald Trump has ascended to the top of it. It's very porous. A lot of people.
He broke it. He broke the ceiling, sort of.
He broke the gates. He broke the gates and fired the gatekeepers. Well, largely, there's still gatekeepers in certain areas, right? And then the problem is that they're going to do everything in their power to keep them from running, whether it be an indictment, whether it be other means. I hope not. I really hope not, because I think that, and I'm not saying this hyperbolically, I think that the continued existence of our republic rests on Donald Trump being elected next time in 2024.
It's kind of scary to say that, but I think that's true.
I would never have said that, because that's said almost every election. Like when the Obama and Romney ran, you were just basically getting more of the same. There's not much difference. Both of them were corporate suits. There's not much difference. But Donald Trump represents something that's so dynamic, so iconoclastic, so unheard of. They have to go back to Andrew Jackson to get something like Donald Trump. It's so unheard of that
Reagan
and the state or what
or Reagan.
Or even Reagan, although Reagan was a little bit more sedate. He was more sedate. Reagan was more sedate. He
was more charming, I'd say.
Very charming, man. Very handsome, very charming man. Oh, yeah. Very charismatic, too.
Yeah, he was a good orator. I'll give him that.
Very charismatic. I mean, him and Thatcher essentially engineered the narrative against the communists in the East. It's beautiful. But you have to go all the way back to a very long time to get something like Donald Trump. And the fact that they're coming for him in this way shows me that this is it's of existential importance. Sincerely, I think so.
Yeah, I did find that the raid happened like mere seemingly hours after he said, "Hey, if I get back in here, I'm going to dismantle the administrative state." And like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
I hate that. Yeah, and the fact that he can do that with his because they know, they're not stupid. They know he's building this war chest of a coalition with people that are in his camp, and should they get power, and he walks in 2024 with them, he's gonna fucking go to town because he's pissed.
Think about this. Donald Trump, if he gets elected, go into the Oval Office, sit down, and take out an executive order that says the NSA will stop its bulk collection program of Americans' data right now, because it's the president, George Bush, who actually started that. He could just do that with a stroke of a pen. All of that stuff.
I mean, he could. I don't know if he would.
But... he could literally just dismantle every single part by executive fiat if he wanted to.
Yeah, someone said that Trump can now dismantle the FBI with a signature.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah.
So he appoints the FBI director. He can fire and appoint at will. If Trump had been smart, he would have fired the FBI director that was in charge when he came into office and appointed a loyalist. He was smart. And the thing is, he's not a political strategist. He's a business guy who just got into politics.
Yes,
He was being misled. He could have fired the director of the CIA and appointed Jared Kushner. If we're all, I mean, he could have done so many different things. He could have easily made the administrative state's life hell, but he was misled, unfortunately.
I do think you're correct. He was misled.
I have one issue with this. With this idea. I like that he can dismantle the FBI, and I would be in favor of him doing that. And I kind of want to do a video on this. My issue with this is just, it's not even how this would function. My issue with this is, if you look at the system as it is now, there's clearly a bunch of Democrats who are simps for the FBI. Like, that's just like an objective reality. And the problem with this is this is going to come off. Hold on, I'm not done yet.
Okay, sorry, Sven.
They're going to come if Trump dismantles the FBI and institutes a new apparatus that immediately goes after the Democrats for their crimes. It is going to look political, and that's not going to induce any trust into the machinery. Brand new. It's going to make it look like a political takeover, and the media will go fucking apeshit.
To be fair, what we're experiencing right now is that did Trump promise one of his promises when he ran in 2016 is lock her up, that he was going to investigate Hillary Clinton, who, by the way, has actually has broken the law. But did he do it? No, because he realized that was a bad move. He realized that actually going after Hillary Clinton was a bad move politically, because it would make him look like an asshole. It would make him look like he was, trying to intentionally silence a political rival. It was not a good idea. Biden's admin, whether you think Biden is doing it or not, by raiding Mar-A-Lago, has done that exact thing that Trump chose not to do because he realized it was a bad idea. By raiding Mar-a-Lago, it is not a good look for the Biden administration.
No, it makes them really, really bad.
It makes you look like an authoritarian dictator, which is why I think Trump didn't go after Hillary Clinton, even though he had way more legal right to go after her. You know? Yes.
Especially when you raid him over superfluous reasons. I mean, presidents have historically kept classified documents in their employ. Yeah. They can reclassify information. Even Jimmy Carter can do that to this day.
Exactly.
So the fact
because he's still alive.
It's selective. Yes, it's highly selective.
And on top of that, this was all dealt with. He was asked about these documents a month ago.
Yeah.
So the FBI knew exactly where they were, and they were okay with it a month ago. Anyone who's paying any attention to this is aware that what happened here with Trump is political persecution. It is not a good look for that's why we talked about this last week, is that Spoon and I basically don't think that really Biden was responsible for this. It was probably his team. Well, I don't think Biden is responsible for anything.
I think the FBI is totally rogue.
Yeah. I think the FBI is rogue as well. Yeah. We're going to talk about that more as we go through this. And again, let me know when you need to tap out, Christian, because we're going to just we'll probably shit push for another 2 hours. So
I have to go in about 3 minutes or so, unfortunately. My apologies.
No, that's fine. We'll go ahead and we'll do our ending little bits now then.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. I think that we had a really illuminating conversation just about politics in general, and particularly about liberalism.
Usual shit posting.
Oh yeah, normally we just cover.
We make fun of things because we like to be light.
This was really, really fascinating, and I thanks so much for dropping by and giving us some knowledge. You know what I mean? And some real shit to talk about.
No,
if you would
really. Sorry, go on. Sorry.
Oh no! You finish, because I was just going to show you, but go ahead. You finish first.
No, I really appreciate. I mean, Aiden, I've admired your work on your channel for a very long time. The more long form video essay format kind of stuff, heavily research, is my kind of thing. So I'm really happy I had an opportunity to do this. It's been a wonderful experience, and Spoon, it's nice to meet you as well. And so hope I can come back someday.
Anytime, man.
welcome.
If you would like to check out Christian's channel, it is linked down below. But what I will also do right now is and get the link to his channel so you can all also hang on.
Aw, that's nice.
Oh, that's not fucking nice. You were nice enough to hang out with us for a little bit. Spoon in particular, he's a real ornery motherfucker. You know what I mean?
This has
Wow.
been nothing but
Thanks for that.
You're welcome. Oh,
Actually like the more longer form stuff, So I think it's necessary. It's like Mencken, right? Mencken, he had his style and he was able to be very effective. And there were other people who had different styles who were also effective in their own way. So, no, I mean, I think I'll check your stuff out. I've never.
It's fine for me. I have to just set my shit back up.
And it was only because it did the update that one day. Because before we never had any problems. It was that one update that just like completely fucked it up.
All right, sorry. Okay, we're back. All right. So I think what we're gonna do here now is to thank Christian again so much for joining us, and we'd love to have you again anytime, Christian.
All right. I'll stay in touch, guys.
Yeah, sure. Anytime. Nice to talk to you.
All right. See you guys later. Bye.
OBS,
well, okay,
I fucking hate you.
OBS is being very lame. Now, here's the thing, Spoon. I have to go use the ladies' room and grab my cigarettes. Can you entertain the audience for 5 minutes?
No, I can't. I'm incapable of doing that.
Now, I have sent you the entire Google document if you would like to read any things on here, but I really have to go use the bathroom, and I will be right back. So, you have the floor.
What Liz cries about it? What? It's even on the BBC? Holy shit!
Oh my god, there's some really funny shit. Okay, you have the floor though, but go ahead and if there's anything in there you want to pull up, go ahead.
Okay, give me a second. I have to. I'll just hold on. I'll just show this off. Just because I feel like being sneaky and admitting it's ha ha ha. This is what I'm currently working on now. For no other reason other than I wanted a lion head in a piece. Why is it so far in? You have no idea how long it took me to get this face correctly, because I can only see it from the freaking front, and from the side it kept looking like a bloody monkey. And now it looks like a lion head, so hooray, yeah. Whoa. Share my singing voice. I have a singing voice. Why? What makes you think I can sing? I'm curious. And who said I can sing? Saltwater zooming. For nausea mask. No. I wanted columns. Oh, that's in Maya. I wanted columns because let's see if I can find a picture. Yeah, 1 second, so I can just find this picture here. Oh, here we go. I wanted this, but this top part here under the column, I don't know if I want to put the lion head there or at the very top by the crown molding. And I don't want to necessarily make all these arches, but I like the design of the columns with the indentation at the bottom at the top. So that's why I wanted the lion head. Because I wanted to have some unique part of it. And at the bottom I'll probably have some other Art Deco piece. It probably looks similar to this. I mean, I have a piano, and the piano looks pretty alright. Although the way that I'm modeling it now, the piano is going to be facing the camera and not from behind. So I have to make all the keys. Which is not very difficult to do. I mean, you can essentially just make one line, because you can't see the little indentations from this distance. I might have to with the resolution. I'll have to see. What is with the bots? Why do we have so many creepy bots? 88 copies and paste. Yeah, Jesus Christ. And if anyone has any cool Art Deco pieces that is, I was going to say modelable, which is not a fucking word, something that can be done, then yeah, I can probably put in. What's the other one that I was making? Hold on. The gun is finished. I don't know if I'll use it. That's the gun I was making. Hold on. I will probably use this in the piece. I don't know where. Probably next to the piano. And what's the other one that I was doing? Where is the wings? Oh. That's the other one I was doing. I haven't made the head yet, and I don't know if I'll end up even using this. But I could use that somewhere. I'll use it as a wall mural. That was what it was originally going to be used. But I'll see. Fun times. Aiden's going to come back and give me shit.
I don't know what you did. I heard Aiden's gonna come back and give me shit. It's the first thing I heard when I came back. But I went.
No swords. No, hold on.
What'd you do? What'd you do?
Shut your face.
Something. What'd you do?
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. Aiden, shut your hole.
Chat. What did he do?
Here's a sword.
Chat. What did he do? Oh, he's just showing off his shit. Now, speaking of showing off his shit. Oh my god.
There's the sword.
So, okay, so I just went outside. I'm trying to set up my garden.
Art Deco Tommy gun.
Look, I'm trying to set up my garden to be very cute and nice, and I have these RGB lights set up that are like solar powered, and I just went out to go see what they looked like at night, and oh my god, they look so cool.
You're such a dork right now.
Dude, they look so cool. Like it's so pretty, and I've got my other little fairy light. I've got my other little fairy lights up, so now I can go sit in my hot tub in the middle of the night. Which I'm not gonna do, but I could go sit in my hot tub in the middle of the night with my fairy lights on. And
do not read the chat. The chat is currently lying.
Okay. Oh no, the chat's telling the truth then, I suppose. What is he gonna do? Oh, he showed you his furry phallus, apparently.
No, the bit after that, but that troll said.
Spoon, are you just showing people some kind of weird furry shit?
What kind of weird sexual crap do you think I'm into?
I don't know.
Choose your next words very carefully, woman.
I think you like muscle girls, don't you?
I mean, I like a girl who's strong, but I wouldn't say she needs to be particularly muscular. Like
the opposite of me. I'm literally nothing.
No, the thing is, I like a girl with like muscular arms. Don't ask me why. I have no fucking idea.
Like, see, I told you, Chat. He's into muscle girls. Told you.
No, it's because I'll tell you why. This is gonna make no fucking sense. It's probably not something I should say in a live stream.
Poor Christian left, and now things got degenerate real fast.
No, it's this I was just walking down the street, and there was a woman who walked by, and she dropped something on the ground, and when she bent over to pick her up, I just noticed her arms, and she had like particularly like strong shoulders and biceps, and I just looked at him like, why am I attracted to this woman's arms? I don't know why. I have no freaking idea.
He's into muscle girls. That's why, Chat.
No,
would you move on to an additional article unless you want to finish the one where we talk about how here's the TLDR, by the way. Like, you've got the list of all the articles I was going to bring up. We're talking about Liz Cheney now. We're actually getting into the news. Here's the TLDR is that 8 of the 10 Republicans who tried to impeach Trump have either pulled out and decided not to run for re-election or have lost their re-election bids, including Liz Cheney. So she is crying. We're going to make fun of Liz Cheney because she looks like Miss Piggy. And also she's an idiot. And she's not a Republican. So let's make fun. Like, how can you run on the Cheney name? Your dad is most famous for fucking shooting somebody and getting away with it.
That's a really fucked up thing to say.
It's true, though. It's true. Dick Cheney is most famous for shooting someone and getting away with it.
And then someone apologized to him.
Dude, I know.
I can't remember who he shot in the face. He was
hunting turkeys or whatever. But like, dude, yeah, the Cheney name is most associated with shooting people
And
on
Iraq.
accident. And in general, yeah, you're a warmonger and you actually shot somebody.
Did you
your
ever
friend.
hear? Did you ever hear what he said about Iraq in 1990? I think like in 1994, 96.
What? No, what'd he say?
Oh, let's see if I can find this clip. You can entertain the chat for a second. Let me just find this. Let's see.
All right, Chet. Well, I'm the one who's got the stuff up. So, do you guys want to see any more about all the other Republicans who failed? There's no real reason to.
Here it is. Listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can play this now.
Crying about it.
Where can I play this now so that you can see it?
You would have. Oh wait, how would you do that?
Like you can watch my screen.
Yeah, I'll watch your screen
on Discord.
Yeah, do it through Discord. It should be fine.
Hold on. What the fuck is this thing doing now? Spoon is a soy boy. Fuck you. That's incredibly offensive. Where the hell does this thing go now?
I would be shocked if you'd ever actually even consumed soy.
Yeah, I don't think I actually have. Oh yeah, you can see that?
Hang on. Sorry, I'm trying to smoke a cigarette.
Heaven sakes, woman.
There we go. Yeah, just play your stream. There you go.
Yeah, watch that.
We'll just play it.
Do you think that the U.S. or UN forces should have moved into Baghdad?
No.
Why not?
Because if we'd gone to Baghdad, we would have been all alone. There wouldn't have been anybody else with us. It would have been a U.S. occupation of Iraq. None of the Arab forces that were willing to fight with us in Kuwait were willing to invade Iraq. Once you got to Iraq and took it over and took down Saddam Hussein's government, then what are you going to put in its place? That's a very volatile part of the world, and if you take down the central government in Iraq, you can easily end up seeing pieces of Iraq fly off. Part of it the Syrians would like to have to the west. Part of eastern Iraq the Iranians would like to claim, fought over for 8 years. In the north, you've got the Kurds, and if the Kurds spin loose and join with the Kurds in Turkey, then you threaten the territorial integrity of Turkey. It's a quagmire if you go that far and try to take over Iraq.
It just proves that he had the political acumen, the geopolitical acumen to know that what they were doing in the 2000s was fucking stupid.
Yep. It's almost like it went exactly according to fucking plan.
Yeah, of course. So here we have Liz Cheney, Trump critic, blasts Republican personality cult after defeat. Oh no.
You sour bitch.
Oh, poor baby. I don't know how much you want to go through this. Like, it's really... The reality is that Liz Cheney
I can read my mocking voice if you want.
She lost hard. Would you like to read this? In
a
mocking
leading
voice?
Republican critic of Donald Trump said the primary... I sound like the version of fucking Paul Joseph Watson when he sped up.
Yeah.
A leading Republican critic of Donald Trump said the primary has embraced his cult personality. That kind of voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. I can do it too.
Yeah. After she was outed in a primary election. Oh, goody. Liz Cheney, 56. Dear God. She doesn't look bad for 56, I'll give her that. Was defeated by the political newcomer and Trump-backed candidate Harriet Hageman in Wyoming. She had faced an uphill battle to win re-election by opening her fucking mouth and saying the stupidest shit on the January 6th committee. After joining the congressional committee, oh, thank you, there we go, committing Mr. Trump's attempt to cling to power. Yes, which is definitely not at all what Cheney has in mind.
Again, it's not why, as we just went over, that 8 out of 10 have been ousted. Okay.
There we go. Miss Cheney, once a rising star in the party. Yeah.
No, really? No.
Yeah, maybe because of her father, not because.
This is the thing: is that Liz Cheney, and everyone's aware of this. Liz Cheney is not a freaking Republican. She's barely even a rhino. Like, she's clearly a Democrat who's just, it's not even Republican in name only. Because everybody knows she's a Democrat.
Yeah, fair weather friends.
No.
Because this is the thing, if Trump was gone, does she have any power in the political apparatus? No, because no one gives a shit. She's a Republican.
Yep.
At least in name anyway, but you know. Like, did you see, like, the fallout of, like, it made the fucking news here.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, what the fuck?
Why
is it news here?
It's because they've given her power. They've attributed power to her that she does not fucking possess.
Like, I remember when John McCain died.
Right.
Sticks made a video as well. He said
Oh my
like the
God.
level of reverence is so fucking insane.
It's bizarre. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I've deleted tweets.
It's like if political royalty dies.
I've deleted tweets because I've like made grammatical errors or whatever. But the only tweet I've ever deleted because people freaked out about it is that I said "Ding dong, the witch is dead" when John McCain died. And people are like, "Oh my God, Aiden, how could you? He's an American hero." And I was like, "No, he really wasn't." But
American
it was
hero who got other Americans
so,
killed because he's a war hawking fucking asshole.
People
like,
got fucking furious at me for saying that about John McCain, and I didn't even think that it was like I didn't say anything super fucking aggressive towards him. But people, were very mad at me for saying that, so I deleted that tweet because
by the way,
people said,
can I just say,
I was evil essentially for it.
I don't know how everyone else feels about that, but I hate people who say that, oh look, when somebody's died you should like remain solemn and like, no, fuck you. If you are an asshole alive, I'm going to treat you like a piece of shit when you're dead.
He was
I don't give a
mass
fuck.
murderer. He was responsible for the deaths of thousands of people. And
if
so
I was going to treat you as an asshole when you're alive, why would I treat you kindly when you're dead? That makes no fucking sense to me.
Her father also is a mass murderer.
Yes.
And
same with Cheney.
So yes, Dick Cheney and
Bush.
McCain and Bush are all mass murderers, and I'm tired of pretending that they're not. It's bizarre that like I guess people who are on, I think most people who mostly align with me, who tend to be more conservative, were like, Aiden, how dare you say that? This was years ago now. It's like 4 years ago whenever he died.
And we're like, no, fuck you.
And no, I did delete the tweet because people were clearly very upset about it. But it's like, look, I don't mean to make fun of when people die. I don't do that anymore. I did it once with John McCain. I've never done it again because people got very upset about it, clearly.
I would do it when Bush dies. He's a fucking asshole. Fuck him.
He is an asshole, to be fair. I don't know,
I like that Sticks stuck to his gun, because he said like, "Fuck John McCain. I'm glad he's dead. I think it'll be a better world." Like, damn. Yeah, I can respect his like bluntness like very, very much. Like, based Sticks. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I agree. Like, I don't like any of these people. It's like, oh look, you're a mass murdering asshole that spied on the American people and then lied to get into a fucking war, resulted in the death of fucking millions of people all over the world. I mean, not millions, but hundreds of thousands. And then you displaced all these fucking people and caused them to flood to Europe. Fuck you.
Yeah, you've totally screwed this shit up.
I'm not going to sing your praises just because you're dead. Go fuck yourself. Rotten hell. You're not real. Screw you.
Yeah, fuck you. I mean, honestly, like, look, it's like this is this weird, like, oh, because you're conservatives, you must respect Republicans. No, not when the Republicans are warmongering dicks. Excuse me, I refuse to respect that crap. When they have spent their entire lives profiting and literally legitimately profiting off of America's foreign wars, I don't have any respect for you. I'm sorry. The results mean Mrs. Cheney, a 3-term congresswoman and the eldest daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney, will not contest her seat in the U.S. House of Reps, which she has held since 2017. It's illustrating the continual influence of Mr. Trump, who has backed dozens of candidates ahead of the midterm elections that will determine control of Congress as well as governorships and state legislatures, and those candidates who have mostly repeated his false claims of fraud already in the 2020 presidential election and defended him amid mounting legal troubles have performed well.
I want to point this out, and I have to be very careful with how I word this.
Right, yes, Susan, of course, there was no fraud in 2020. We all know that, Susan. We got it.
Yeah, just the media lies
Susan.
Constantly about everything and says this wasn't true. So, like,
right.
Yeah, I'm very skeptical of. Yeah,
we got it.
Yeah.
No. We have to be clear. We all know that there was nothing weird that happened in the 2020 election at all.
Sure.
Not whatsoever.
Sure.
This is just the rest of this just goes on about her.
The size of a fucking basketball.
The rest of this article just goes on about her.
This is a point that I want to make. Okay, so in 2016, all right, people screamed Russia for 4 straight fucking years. Yeah. And that wasn't fucking true. They wasted 40 million of the taxpayers' money looking at falsified evidence they fucking knew was false, so that's a bunch of bullshit. Now they're trying to stop it from running in 2024. What the fucking hell makes you think they didn't do something in 2020?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. So here we go. Well, she has since praised Mr. Trump's record as president. Miss Hagman, who did win the election against Cheney, described the former president as racist and xenophobic before the 2016 election. I heard and believed the lies the Democrats and Liz Cheney's friends in the media were telling at the time, she told the New York Times last year. So I don't trust Harriet Hagman as far as I could throw her, and she looks like a bit of a chunky lass, so that's probably not very far. But but she's less bad than Cheney, and that's not saying much, you know?
See, I have mixed feelings about this because there's a part of me that that thinks I can't look at this as a purity test of just like, if you didn't like Trump from the get-go, you can't like him later on when he actually delivers.
Yeah.
But when it comes to politics, people think that, oh, look, if you're liking somebody now and there's political
people can't change
a
their
gain
mind.
for you. Yeah, but it's like when do you change?
Yes, if this was her opinion
Yes.
before the election, okay, I understand.
Yeah, if she was like,
Cheney-
if she was like in 2018, she started being a Trump fan and she wasn't in politics, I can understand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
understandable.
yeah.
Cheney became a virtual outcast within her party over her criticism of Mr. Trump. Only 2 of the 10 Republicans who voted to impeach him after his supporters attacked the U.S. Capitol last year.
They did not attack a Capitol. That was a
They
legendary
did not do
scroll,
that.
and fuck you if you disagree.
No.
We have actual footage of it.
Yes, maintain their places on the ticket for re-election. Speaking to Today, Ms. Cheney said it was dangerous to elect officials who questioned the result of the election and described it as the red line that she would continue to resist. I am by the way, like, I don't have this. I looked it up, but it was on Crowder, I think, today, where Crowder had a big compilation of how much Liz Cheney has talked about Trump. She talks about Trump in literally every fucking speech she gives. Just Trump, 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 Trump.
I think she wants to shag him.
Maybe. I'm absolutely going to continue this battle, she said, before vowing to do whatever it takes to stop Trump from re-entering the White House.
By the way, the fact that she's
Good
saying that and she's
Republican.
outside of politics makes it sound like whatever you're trying to do does not involve the political apparatus, which makes it sound like you are going to interfere in the 2024 election.
Oh, it sounds like you're gonna. Yeah, it sounds like. What are you gonna do to keep him out of the White House if you're out of politics?
Yeah,
now?
you vague lying bitch. Like you. Oh, it's a great threat to our democracy, Aiden, is what these people say.
Oh,
and
it sounds.
and then this person gets removed from politics, and then all of a sudden now the real work begins. What the fuck does that mean?
Well, I don't know, but it sounds like Liz Cheney is gonna come after Trump now that she's not in politics.
Am I a conspiracy theorist or am I just a man that has common sense?
I think you're a man who's able to read.
Thanks for that. It's very basic analysis right there. Yeah.
well, I mean, like, that's what she's saying right there.
Yeah,
real quick, I'll go through.
Go on.
Oh, just go through some of the super chats that I missed before that I had to get through here. Kiza for £5 says, Spoon, the Belgium you're thinking of is Guy Verhofstadt.
Yeah, Guy
the
Verhofstadt,
Palpatine lookalike who wants that on United States of Europe. Yeah. Slavniki for $5 says, Teddy was the best Roosevelt. Fight me on that. He doesn't have a lot of competition.
As his competition is FDR. It's not really
yes. Yes. Slayer P3 for 2 says, what if Trump wins 2024 and the left cries fraud? They will, inevitably.
Of course they will. They did that in 2016, so they're going to do it again. They're going to scream Russia again into it because these people are
just remember.
People don't learn.
Yeah, just remember that the left claimed that the 2016 election was stolen for 4 years until the 2020 election, in which case they said that that elections, it's impossible to steal elections. It's impossible for there to be external
Remember when Obama said
elections. I know.
Obama said that before 2016, there's no way how you could hack the elections, and then these fuckers scream Trump lost Trump won because of Russia. It's like, dude, you have no consistency fucking whatsoever. None.
They're just they're liars.
Yeah.
Dreadnought for $10. Hey, thank you, man. Said Aiden been watching you for years and praying for you. I'll pray for you too, Dreadnought. Thank you. Was so happy to hear of your conversion. Former atheist, now Catholic myself. Thank you, Dreadnought. I'll pray for you as well. Christ is king and God is good, and it's quite nice to welcome His grace. Stefan Kisnek, Knizek, excuse me. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name there, my dude. For 10 says, I want Cheney to run for president in the Democratic Party. If we can also get Jeb to run as a Democrat,
yes,
we can see Democrats who hated Bush Cheney 2004 gleefully vote Bush Cheney 2024. Stephen, you're going to notice she's saying she's going to vote for president. We'll get into that in a moment. He also said for $2. He also said for $2, Spoon design Art Deco Tommy gun. He did do that. And for another $2, Aiden, you missed it on Spoon's crooner singing. Did you sing a little bit while I was away for a minute?
I can't believe you believe our chat.
I do. RP for $5.
Over me? I'm greatly offended.
If RP for
Fuck you, I'm
$5
not gonna
says,
forgive you for
and
that.
40K, I
Rude.
place issues of battle. Very cool. I like strong women, especially when they're hitting me. My dude, that's up to you. And Kizza for £5 says, never forget the Time Magazine article on fortifying the 2020 election with a secret cabal. It's astonishing that they published that. It really is. It really is.
Like, oh yeah, we didn't do anything shady. We just
we've
fortified
been
it.
through that. Yeah, we've been through that again. So
It's
this part,
unbelievable.
this article is whatever it is. It's fine. Now she's crying because she lost. She's crying big baby bitch tears. Oh wait, this is the right. That's the one where she's crying big baby bitch tears. But here's where now. Sorry, same article. My bad. Now
like
she
the
is going to
alliteration.
run for president.
No, she's not.
She lost in Wyoming. Liz Cheney to battle Trump may run for U.S. presidency.
That to me is amazing. Just
What an idiot.
I don't understand how you can get your fucking ass weaved into the canvas.
She was whipped. She
by
got
37 points, which I asked Sticks on Twitter, and he said this as well. It's the largest defeat by a Trump candidate in the primary so far, and you're gonna run for president. Like, are you out of your fucking mind? Why? What?
She just has
You're
no
a
idea.
retard.
Yeah, she has no idea. Or it is severe cope. You're right. Timid Falconite, it's severe cope. Rep Cheney vowed to do all she could to keep Trump out of the White House.
Just like retarded. Like, dude, what? How the fuck do you think you're gonna do, you moron?
In conceding the race, Cheney, a fierce critic of Trump who has played a prominent role in the congressional investigation of Jan 6's assault on the Capitol, said she was not willing to, quote, go along with President Trump's lie about the 2020 election to win a primary. Quote, it would have required that I enable his ongoing efforts to unravel our democratic system, there's that word again, and attack the foundations of our republic. I'm surprised she even used that word. They don't use that one very often. They usually just use the democratic one. Well, you know, because they don't actually care about this one.
No,
they care about
she's a Republican, so yeah.
So well, they care about the democratic system because it's all about vote, and we'll get people to vote for stupid shit.
Except if you vote against us. And amazing people say,
and then it's bad.
I don't understand how you can say this is a horrible threat for democracy. Like, the democracy procedure was used to get this stupid bitch out of office. You fucking moron! How can you say this is a threat to democracy?
Spoon, this is how we know how they work. When they lose, it's a threat to their democracy. When people vote against them, it's a threat to the democracy.
It's just so.
It shows you that democracy.
Dumb.
It's only democracy to them when they win.
Yeah, so that means if a Democrat says democracy, it's code.
Yes. Be aware, guys. Everyone listening, beware. It's code. When they say the word democracy, they mean
specifically our democracy.
They say our democracy in particular. They mean leftists winning. That's what they mean. They are pretty overt.
It means Washington status quo.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe Donald Trump continues to pose a very grave threat and risk to our republic. She uses that word because he's a Republican, but it's the same. This is line by line the same garbage. The same garbage the leftists say. And I think that defeating, and she is a leftist. Let's not get this confused. Liz Cheney is a leftist. She's just pretending to be. She's not even a rhino because, like, she's. I mean, she is a Republican in name only, but she's just a hardcore leftist. It's insane. And I think that defeating him is going to require a broad and united front of Republicans, Democrats, and independents. That's what I intend to be a part of, Cheney said. Well, you got fucked, so bye-bye.
Yeah.
With 99% of expected balance.
Do you know something like 80% of her donations?
We're going to get into that. Let's get into that. Thank you, Spoon. What a lovely, particularly because I did have this. There's something else in this article that I really want to go through. We're trying to get through topics now quickly. Turns out that donors from outside Wyoming make up the majority of Liz Cheney's record-breaking fundraising.
Jeez, I wonder why you were not liked by the people of Wyoming.
Oh, what a cool! How could that be?
Texas, really? Texas, you should be ashamed of yourself.
It's all the people who moved from California to Texas. You know that.
Oh wow, that's
obviously.
Wow, most of it came from California.
I don't know. It's from California and Texas, and you know that all the Californians have been moving to Texas.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So Cheney raised the most of that money
Facts.
from out-of-state donors, while her opponent Harriet Hageman, who Trump endorsed, raised $745,000, with the majority from in-state donors. She raised $7 million. She had $7 million in her re-election fund versus $745,000 from the woman who actually won. Texas tops the list of donors, with that state contributing over $500,000 to Cheney's campaign. California is the second highest.
tell you
The
what
state's
does
donors
mean.
contributing also over $500,000. This is, again, insane. These two states, Texas and California, raised more money for a race in Wyoming than the woman actually from Wyoming from her in-state donors. $466,000 from Virginia, $450,000 from Florida, $400,000 from New York, $215,000 from Connecticut.
So much for the
She
whole
raised-
states' rights thing, isn't it?
So again, Harriet Hageman raised $745,000, with the majority from in-state donors. In-state Wyoming donors for Cheney, $276,000. Less than a third. Or about a third.
Like a 10, isn't it?
No, hers was 745.
No, I mean
I'm
with like
saying
Cheney's overall.
it's a third of Hageman's raising of money, right? It's less than a 7 million. Let me pull up my calculator real quick. I can't do basic math. I have dyscalculia. I can do advanced math, but I can't do. Okay, so let's do it. So she raised 7 million. We're gonna do 276,000 divided by 7 million. It is, yeah. It's 1/4. No, 1/4. It's 0.04%.
I may as well do the modeling in the background because I can barely read the text because it's only like on 720p.
It's 0.04% of the money raised came from.
Like, let me ask the chat. The chat, can you read this freaking text? Because I can't read shit.
From where?
The chat.
Oh, so
On the screen. I don't mean
Oh.
the chat on the side. I mean like the text on the screen and the thing. It's not because
Oh,
of
I
you.
don't know.
It's just because of the 720p of the limitations of Discord.
Oh, sorry. But the reality is that 4% of her.
Yeah, the text is pretty
income.
blurry. Yeah, because they can't see shit. Neither can I.
Oh, really? Let me hang on. I can turn it up.
No, it's because of Discord.
No, it's not. I can turn it up.
No, it's because of Discord. Discord's only on 720.
I can turn it up.
1080,
Can't I?
you need to be the premium thing.
No, I have premium. Hang on 1 second.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Wait. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, now I can see.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's a lot better.
So there you go. Hang on. I'm about to sneeze a whole bunch. I can guarantee it. Oh, I sneezed a real big sneeze. Anyway.
For some
so
reason, the broken Discord can stream through 1080p.
Oh my god, I've sneezed again. Holy shit.
Yeah, now I can see.
Can you actually see this shit now? All right.
Yeah, I can see now.
All right. Sorry, guys. Anywho, so Liz Cheney got. Hang on.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, woman.
I had to sneeze. I'm sorry. Liz Cheney got all of her freaking money from only 4% of her contributions came from Wyoming is the reality. Okay.
Holy shit. 4%?
Yeah, that's what I just did the calculation right here on stream. I did the calculation right here on stream.
It's no fucking wonder she got her ass kicked.
Yeah. So.
Oh my god, what the fuck is your background?
What?
What the fuck is your background?
Can you see my whole background?
No, when you had it down there, I just saw like this blur of like the acid trippy wash.
Oh, wait, hang on.
You just okay? Your stream's fucking paused now. I can't see shit.
Jesus Christ. Sorry. Hang on. I'll show you. My
Your desktop.
My desktop. How do I do that? Oh, my screens. Here you go.
Oh my god, my eyes. No. No.
I made this. You don't like this?
Make it go. My eyes hurt looking at that.
Look, I have notes over here. Oh,
No. Make it stop. No. Make it stop.
what's wrong here? What's wrong? What's wrong with my? I made this background. What's wrong with it?
My eyes are. It's headache inducing, woman.
Uh-huh.
No. Bring up the article.
All right. Well, you asked for it.
It hurts my eyes.
You asked for it. Did he ask?
Thank God.
Chat, did he not ask for me to show him my desktop background? Yes or no?
It's ice. Thank you. It's eye strain.
It's lovely.
No, it's not. Oh my god! Like I would get a headache looking at that. I legitimately covered my eyes and just said, "Change it back." That's.
I like my
No.
vaporwave stuff. All right, so we have covered Liz
Wait,
Cheney.
Crowd has been banned from YouTube streaming because of Carrie Lake's. What?
What? For real? Stephen Mizek for 5 says Crowder was banned from YouTube streaming because of something Carrie Lake said. YouTube is totally balanced platform with no exploits. Yeah, I know, right? I don't know about that. You guys really don't like my freaking look. I've actually uploaded my wallpaper to the internet so people could enjoy it. It's a very nice wallpaper.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
It's a great wallpaper. It's my cigarette wallpaper.
Okay, and I'll show you.
It's my menthol pilled one. It's very very cool.
Okay, and I'll show what mine looks like. That's mine.
All right, look.
See, it's very nice, bare bone and basic.
Mm.
See, it's nice forest and trees.
I'll have to see it for a second because I have to like
it makes
watch
me
it
happy.
through secondhand stuff.
See, it's nice and easy.
I didn't see it, my dude.
It's a
oh, there you go. There you
yeah,
go. It is nice. It's very nice. It's actually it reminds me of where I'm from. It's very nice.
No.
Okay.
The reason I have that as a background is because I have 2 screens, and behind this screen is a big bamboo.
Very cool.
So if you look at my screen, it looks like a giant forest theme.
Well, would you like to see the Project Veritas leaks from the FBI?
Wait, the FBI leaked to Veritas?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, Veritas found FBI leaks. It's
Oh,
amazing.
I haven't seen this.
Oh my god. Okay, let's go through it. Would you mind reading these? Because I'm congested as hell. I would say what? Charming.
Sorry.
Well, we're having equally good times here, aren't we?
This joint intelligence bulletin is intended to provide information on the potential for domestic violent extremists to carry out attacks on federal, state, and local law enforcement. Yeah, but what you fucking people say is extreme terrorism doesn't mean anything.
Well, I'm going to scroll down to actually what's important, but read this first part, and then we'll scroll down.
Let's see. And government personnel or facilities. This bulletin is being shared in light of an increase in threats and acts of violence, including armed encounters, including law enforcement, judiciary, and government personnel. A reaction to the FBI's recent execution of a court-authorized search warrant in Palm Beach, Florida, which wasn't at all political. It is intended to support the activities of the FBI and the DHS and assist federal. Yeah, come on, this is a fucking rogue agency.
Okay, here's the thing. Fuck all this. Here's the reality. The FBI put out this bulletin, and I'm going to tell you what it is. The TLDR is that the FBI is basically saying that if you make fun of them, now there's other things included as well, but if you make fun of them, they're going to come and arrest you.
Oh,
you
wow,
are no
gays.
longer allowed to make fun of the FBI, and that's why I'm going to say here, lads, let's make fun of the FBI. Let's make fun of these glow boys. They talk about the Cincinnati stuff. We'll get into that later. But I want to show you their new... Scroll down into their past behaviors associated with radicalization and mobilization. This is their thing where... If you would mind reading this part where it starts here, I'll scroll down as we get through it. Spoon, past behaviors associated with radicalization and mobilization to
Let's see.
violence.
A body of court documents and press reports reveals several observable behaviors that may indicate radicalization and mobilization to violence by DVEs. It is important to emphasize that many of the mobilization's indicators may also relate to constitutionally protected activities. It is important to look critically and contextually at the specific actions of the individual and their intent. Unless there happened to be a Clinton. Law enforcement action should never be taken solely based on constitutionally protected activities. That doesn't sound dicey at all. On the apparent or actual race, age, ethnicity, or national origin, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or gender identity of the subject. Oh my god, you fag. Or any other combination of these factors, individuals are encouraged to contact law enforcement if, based on these indicators and situational context, they suspect an individual is mobilizing to violence or engaging in violent extremist activities. That's so vague as fuck.
I know.
Basically, if any one of these people get their fifis hurt, you can contact the FBI. That's what that sounds like.
Yes, it is. Now look here at the things that are extremist activities. Now, hang on. Some of these are, I would admit, a little bit extremist.
Unusual
Other ones
efforts
of them,
to obtain explosive
not so much.
precursors. What does that mean? What is an unusual effort?
Whatever they think it is.
Unusual purchase of military-style tactical equipment. It was really cool
Buying
and I wanted
guns.
to buy it.
Yeah, buying guns. Just be clear, like this is not even the part. Like we'll get into the part where it kind of implies that if you just want to make fun of the FBI online, that you're going to be on the list.
Watch 4chan and get fucking taken over. 4chan is just gonna be a wash. People like, hey, look, the FBI is telling the boys a bunch of
Look, the FBI, the feds have been all over 4chan for years. But go ahead, continue with the list.
Care. It's the unusual change in or initiation of physical or weapons training for suspected criminal purposes. So basically, just anytime, anywhere we find you in potential violation, they're going to be running a fucking train over you just because they suspect you. Like this is such.
I want to be clear about. Let's be clear about what this is all about. By the way, Spoon. This is because the feds are mad that people are making fun of them. That's literally what this is about. The feds are mad that people are making fun of them on the internet. And so now they're like, no, we're going to go extra ham on you. And we're going to go really hard on all of your fucking rights. You don't have any rights anymore because we're the feds and we exist under Joe Biden, who's not going to do anything to curtail any of our powers. In fact, we can just go rogue, which is what they've done. The FBI has gone rogue. That's my opinion. Sorry.
Let's see, producing, promoting, or extensively consuming violent extremist content. What is extensive consuming?
What is violent extremist content?
January
What is
6th?
violent extremist content? Yes, watching a video of January 6th, is that violent extremist content?
Oh, there's
We
no
don't know.
one was harmed.
There's a definition here. So violent extremist content could be watching Ben Shapiro. Do you know what I mean?
Narratives
or
in
this
media. Messaging for suspected criminal purposes. Expressing acceptance of violence as a necessary means to achieve ideological goals, which is literally what you fuckers are doing right now.
So Tim Pool, by the way, is in deep shit.
Yeah.
Tim Pool, talking about the fact that he just thinks that civil war is going to happen, is now apparently on an FBI watch list.
Yeah. I'm not in favor of advocating violence against the state. I just want the state to be peacefully overturned and turned into a monarchy because republics are gay.
Yes, me too. But it's unlikely that would happen. But I would much prefer peaceful change, obviously.
Yeah. Increasing or extreme adherence to conspiracy theories as justification for violence against ideological targets.
Remember that what is a conspiracy theory changes by the day. Because it was because conspiracy theories are rubbish. It was a conspiracy theory that Hunter Biden was working with Ukraine. Remember that? Please remember, keep that in mind, guys. You literally could not post on Twitter. If you posted any link from the New York Post that talked about Hunter Biden's relationship to Ukraine, that was a conspiracy theory, and it was banned and blocked. So if you believe that Hunter Biden had any connection to Ukraine, despite now there's even been more and more evidence on that, that's a conspiracy theory because it's not what the government allows you to think. You're not allowed to think those things.
They're attempting to radicalize others, especially family members and peers, to violence. What does violence mean?
If you talk to family members about anything, I guess. that
So,
doesn't
so
align
basically, the
with
FBI wouldn't
the...
like you or I.
No, obviously not. And
Trump.
what this really comes off as is that the FBI is going to persecute you, and I'm using the word persecute, not prosecute. They're going to persecute you if you make fun of them.
FBI, you're gay.
Well, the FBI
You're a
is
bunch of glow
going to
boys,
come for us,
and
I
you're
guess.
sackless, and you're gay.
Apparently, the FBI is going to come for us. This is leaked documents. And this is the thing, too. How hilarious.
You're going to
that
come for
as-
me, or whatever gets you off,
The
I guess.
the FBI immediately gets their documents leaked by Project Veritas, right? Like, how secure are you that your stupid internal document immediately gets where you're like basically like, you can't make fun of the FBI. That's not legal.
I just
We
love how
decided it's not
vague all
legal."
of this crap is.
Oh, it's vague as hell, and it's bullshit. And they basically decided, like, yeah, that's what this is that, like, you're not allowed to make fun of the FBI. Now, I would really like to make fun of the FBI because they're,
Chad, give us some funny acronyms for the FBI.
you know, the Federal Bureau of what, or whatever. So, yeah, yeah, go ahead, did we go through all of them? Yeah. Okay. Did we go through all of them?
Forever being idiotic.
So, this is a leaked document from the FBI, though, so... this is what they're trying to prevent you from doing because these are evil
These
things.
fucking bloody idiots, I would have
And
said.
by the way, here's the hilarious thing. Because you can't make this shit up. The Babylon Bee predicted it. Here it is.
When was
This is from August. This is from August 11th.
This is only a couple of days before the raid.
Before the yes. Well, this is now
Oh
before
my
their
God.
internal document. With their internal document, which is that we're basically gonna make it illegal to criticize the FBI. And if you make fun of us, it's illegal. And the Babylon Bee comes out with an article a week beforehand about how the FBI is going to make it illegal to criticize. Give me 1 second, I have to use the restroom again. Go ahead and enjoy this Babylon Bee article.
Okay. FBI Director Christopher Wray has come under criticism for his raiding of former President Trump's residence. He responded this morning by announcing that he will criticize that all who criticize the FBI, my apologies, raid will have their own homes raided as well. We will not tolerate any disparagement of this proud and incorruptible federal law enforcement agency that has never done anything wrong. That is legitimately what they sound like as well. All who oppose us are dangerous and deplorable. Prepare to be raided, suckers. Okay, that is literally how they sound. That's not even... You see, this is the thing. When you read the news, and the news is so gay and wrong over and over again, and you read the Babylon Bee, and not only are they correct, they are clairvoyants. Like, it's not even funny. That is literally what we're looking at. Fucking hell. Ray then directed bureaus to cooperate with local SWAT teams and search the home of everyone who expressed anger and disgust at the FBI's raid on Trump's home in Mar-A-Lago. We will not rest until every deplorable sock drawer has been dumped out and every dangerous home safe has been broken into. Anyone who will resist us will be sent to Gitmo. Don't mess with me, man. News media assured the country the raids were completely legal as a federal judge formerly from Epstein's defense team signed off on them. Again, that's fucking true.
I mean, it is, like, it's hilarious that this is from a week before that FBI document was leaked. Now, I'm going to show you guys some other things about the FBI. How about this one? Female FBI agent slept with target Barry Croft in hotel in same bed during training weekend paid for by FBI and smoked pot with him in FBI hatched Whitmer kidnapping hoax.
There are so many jokes in that headline, I don't even know where to begin.
Okay. So, if you don't recall, there was a...
Ryan is correct, by the way. This is the gayest timeline.
I know. There was a ploy, essentially, that someone was going to try and kidnap Governor Whitmer, right? This is the whole thing.
I remember.
Now, we find out that a Fed was
responsible for the whole thing.
Sleeping with the person who was going to allegedly kidnap her, which didn't happen, but, you know.
Again, I'm telling you, this timeline makes very strange bedfellows.
Sure does. In October 2020 press conference, FBI announced they had thwarted a plot by so-called right-wing militia to kidnap and kill Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Whitmer kidnapping plot was on the media 24/7 and used to bludgeon Trump with a few weeks to go to Election Day. The FBI used at least 12 informants in the Michigan Whitmer kidnapping case. There were 6 defendants and 12 FBI informants identified as the case progressed. The FBI planned the Whitmer attack, organized the attack, paid for the attack, and recruited local men to join their planned attack. It was another complete
That was
setup
weird.
by... Yeah, how interesting.
You
By
recruited
Chris Wade's-
local men. How the hell did you just not keep them? Oh.
Oh,
Hold on, I just had a brain fart moment.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm just. I thought that like they told them that they're FBI agents. Like, okay, no, they obviously didn't do that.
No. The FBI planned the
It's
Whitmer
like
attack,
fucking-
organized. The FBI planned this whole thing. It was all made up by the FBI.
It's so
It was a
damn
complete
stupid.
setup by Chris Wade's FBI to frame and ruin an innocent man. The case, which we now know was comprised of virtually all FBI agents and informants, took another devastating hit in August of 2022. Michael Hills, an attorney for Brandon Caserta, one of the 6 defendants, produced text messages showing an FBI field agent telling an informant to lie to frame an innocent man and delete the text messages.
Wow, then you
This
wonder
is
why
why-
people don't like the FBI.
This is what we're dealing with. It is all freaking bullshit. And if you're confused that the FBI is not run by the Democrat Party, I think this should be some solid evidence as to that assertion. This is why federal prosecutors are refusing to hand over text messages and laptops from the FBI informants in the Whitmer kidnapping case. Again, remember, Whitmer was not actually kidnapped. This was a scheme. It didn't happen. The FBI actually hatched the plot, paid for the plot, ran the plot, and set up the innocent men in their immoral scheme. 2 men were found not guilty in the FBI's made-up kidnapping case in Michigan, and 2 men were released due to a hung jury back in April. Defendants Harris, 24, and Caserta, 33, were found not guilty of conspiracy. Harris was also acquitted of charges related to explosives and a gun. The jury could not reach verdicts for Fox, 38, and Croft, 46, which means the government can put them on trial again. Now the 2 men released by the hung jury are back in the court. The retrial of Barry Croft and Adam Fox is taking place this week in Michigan. By the way, fix your fucking website. My God. Gateway pundit. Federal prosecutors are hoping to get convictions after a hung jury this last spring. This is just stunning. One female FBI agent admitted today during testimony that she slept in the same hotel room and the same bed during a training weekend with the FBI target Barry
Was
Croft,
she training
and
for honeypots?
and she smoked pot with him. So an FBI agent, let's just be clear, fucked this guy and smoked weed with him, which I think it is legal in Michigan, but still. And we're supposed to believe this isn't a setup.
Yeah. After they blankly admit it.
It's a blanket. She admits that she slept with the guy.
It was the beard, wasn't it?
It's very hard to resist, right? Stefan Nizek for $5 says the FBI is reporting a sudden epidemic of young men plotting domestic terrorism, asking only that the honeypots be at least an 8. Apparently, right? So the FBI is admitting that this whole Gretchen Whitmer thing was a setup. That they were that they had female FBI agents set up to have sex with the people that they wanted to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, which didn't happen. Now, this is older, but I do want to bring this up, is that the FBI is targeting parents in almost every region for speaking out at school board meetings. The FBI has been targeting people politically for over a year. This is from May, but still. Did the FBI target irate parents at a school board meeting who raised concerns about local education issues? In his testimony last fall, Attorney General Merrick Garland vehemently denied that it did, but now in a letter to the Attorney General, Republicans on the House Judiciary Committee say they have further evidence that the FBI did monitor parents who spoke up against local school board policies. You are not able to escape the FBI's watch. They are watching all of you, all of us, right now, to screw with us for daring to criticize the Biden administration.
FBI, you're gay.
Here is the actual documents. It's here in this Twitter post.
Your Twitter
from
is white?
Congress. Yeah, yeah. In sworn testimony before this
Racist
committee,
ape.
denied the Department of Justice or its components were using counterterrorism statutes and resources to target parents at school board meetings. We now have evidence that, contrary to your testimony, the FBI has labeled at least a dozen of investigations into parents with a big threat tag created by the FBI Counterterrorism Division to assess and track investigations related to school boards. These cases include investigations into parents upset about mask mandates and school and state elected officials who publicly voiced opposition to vaccine mandates. These investigations into concerned parents are the direct result of and would not have occurred but for your directive to federal law enforcement to target these categories of people. So we know that they did it. The FBI interviewed a mother who belonged to a group of called Moms for Liberty for reportedly telling the school board, "We're coming for you." The mother told investigators she was just warning school officials that they could be replaced in an upcoming election, according to the letter. No, you're not allowed to say things like that. We don't live in a democracy in America anymore. This is not a democracy. This is a fucking oligarchy. This is a dictatorship. And I know that it's upsetting to hear that, but these government agencies are rogue, and they support the Democratic Party. The Democrat Party. They support them 100%. They will. The part of their roguishness, which is important, is that means that they can do whatever the hell they want, and when they get in trouble for it, they can just say, "Oh well, I don't know. We don't know anything. Well, we don't know anything about politics. We're just doing our own thing, right?" That's on purpose. A father was also investigated by the FBI because he reportedly rails against the government, believes all conspiracy theories. Most conspiracy theories have.
All of them in the last 3 years have been true.
Yeah. Has a lot of guns and threatens to use them, which is his right, and, quote, fits the profile of an insurrectionist, the letter said.
The profile of a current IRS fucking person.
Yes, he sure does by that definition, doesn't he, Spoon? In an interview with authorities, the person complaining about the father reportedly admitted that they had no specific information of observations or any specific claims of threats. So you made it the fuck up. You made it the fuck up. So the FBI is targeting parents. The FBI is sleeping with people. And yeah, the FBI is sleeping with people. The FBI is making shit up to try and target parents. And now we have the big, oh, please be sad about the FBI, the poor little FBI. How Trump-loving Ohio FBI shooter, who didn't kill anybody, Ricky Schiffer, became the alt-right's new Ashley Babbitt. Thanks, Independent. This isn't garbage at all. Experts say far-right figures who die attacking American law enforcement or institutions are being turned into martyrs on the far right.
I don't even think we're doing that on purpose. That's just a coincidence.
It is a freaking coincidence. It's also disgusting to relate this guy who rolled up to the FBI office in Cincinnati to Ashley Babbitt, who was shot in the fucking head. Ricky Schiffer being shot dead after standoff with police in Ohio last Thursday. Far-right message boards, Gab and Truth Social, began lighting up with conspiracy theorists asking questions. How dare you ask questions? Why had negotiations with Schiffer failed to end peacefully? Why couldn't the police disarm him without use of lethal force? Did any of it even really happen? I mean, those are legitimate questions, Independent. These questions allow people to theorize, and over time, they will start to make up answers and fill in the blanks. Well, you could actually answer them. Chris Goldsmith, CEO of threat intelligence group Sparvarius, and combat veteran who studies disinformation. This word, if you see this word in someone's description,
it means it's true.
It means that they are doing disinformation, almost inherently. Agreed. This is how it starts. Yes. By rate, you're not allowed to question things. Don't guys. I hope you're not questioning anything right now. Because if you question something that makes you a violent extremist, you can't question anything.
Or a conspiracy theorist, a loon, a nutcase, mentally unstable.
a feedback loop where disinformation ebbs and flows from the corridors of power and cable television to the dark corners of the internet. You've gotten rid of every right-wing speaker on cable television, ding dong. The mythology that's begun to coalesce around Schiffer, a 42-year-old Navy vet who had been openly calling for violence against the FBI agents, follows a similar theme. A familiar theme. It's the same tactic that was employed after Ashley Babbitt was shot dead by police as she tried to climb through the window of a barricaded door inside the U.S. Capitol on Jan 6th. Like Schiffer, Babbitt became ensnared in far-right politics after leaving the military. Both called for patriots to turn their extreme rhetoric online into real-world violence. Babbitt clearly became a martyr of the MAGA movement, and Donald Trump was her cheerleader-in-chief. So this independent article is, do you get the opinion that I get, or the feeling I get, that they're saying that Ashley Babbitt deserved to be killed?
Yeah, it sounds like that way.
Sounds that way, right? This is not the only left-wing article I've seen that's made this. They clearly think that Ashley Babbitt deserved to have been killed for climbing through a window. Yeah, for climbing through a window along with a bunch of other people.
Yeah, but the summer riot of love and smashing the shit out of
sure, that's
$1 billion
fine.
worth of property damage, that is totally fine.
Trumpism,
climb through a window. Oh my god.
Trumpism is a theo-political movement whose central belief posits the former president is a messianic figure who's the only person capable of saving the country. I do kind of think that part's
Christian
true.
Thinks of that part because I think he actually says true.
But this part, fuck off. You don't understand
messianic.
What Christians believe at all. He's not messianic. What are you saying?
He is.
You think Trump is messianic?
They didn't say he's the Messiah. He is a messianic-like figure.
I disagree, but I don't worship
because
Trump.
You're wrong.
I'm wrong because I don't worship Trump?
No, it's the messianic thing.
Mm.
We would call him the God Emperor, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I know the God Emperor thing. This is a meme, though.
Yeah, but it's also true.
Yeah. I'm about to shit talk Donald Trump in just a second here, so give me a moment.
No, I mean, he definitely has a lot of the life character about him. That much is absolutely true.
Yes, I'm about to shit talk Trump here in just a minute. Trump has been telling people close to him that Schiffer might actually have been posing as a supporter in an effort to discredit him. That's also possible, by the way. I don't think it's likely, but it's possible. The magazine cited unnamed sources who described Mr. Trump's comments as false flag theory. It's possible. It's possible. And they form a key part of unprecedented escalation of threats against blah, 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 blah. Well, why do you think there's an unprecedented level of threats, FBI, after you raided his house and his wife's wardrobe for 9 hours?
Because we were definitely going to find nuclear secrets in
Melania's lingerie drawer, yeah, I'm sure.
You know those people sniffed her panties.
Oh, they 100%. Let me ask you guys in the chat. Let me ask you guys in the chat. Okay. Did the feds sniff Melania panties?
Melanias.
Yeah, I tried to spell it.
Yeah, I can tell that's why you were saying. Yeah, yes, 100%.
I think they did.
Yeah.
I think they absolutely did. 100%. Schiffer left the interstate north of Cincinnati with police in pursuit. Okay, in a post on Trump's online platform, Truth Social at 9:29, after the shooting began, Schiffer wrote, "Well, I thought I had a way through bulletproof glass. I didn't. If you don't hear from me, it's true. I tried attacking the FBI, and it'll mean either I was taken off the internet or the FBI got me. They sent the regular cops." While the message appeared to be cut short. Schiffer left the interstate north of Cincy with police in pursuit and came to a stop on a remote road in Clinton County, about 45 miles from Cincy, before 10 a.m. He exchanged gunfire.
Speaking of this, do you want to hear something stupid? You know that stupid bitch on Shalom that we make fun of?
Okay, we're not going to be able to go through that entire thing. I have a new segment. Let's end the stream with that. We'll end the stream with that.
No. She did another one, and Trump recently came out and he just said, "Is there anything I can do to turn down the tensions because it's getting like unusually high?"
Yeah.
Yeah, she said that's a call for escalating.
Okay. So guys, we're gonna have a new segment. All right, this is. Let's do it. All right, so this is kind of. All right, a guy tried to kill the feds. They shot him, didn't they? Yeah, they killed this
I
guy.
need to go to the bathroom.
All right, you go to the bathroom. I'll finish this up. Exchange gunfire, threat assessment from Spavarius. Show Schiffer created Twitter account, blah, blah. Schiffer also made references to being at the Capitol on Jan 6th. Truth Social. Schiffer posted several times in the days after the Mar-A-Lago search. According to NBC News, he called for FBI agents to be killed on site and posted a vague list of enemies to be targeted. He was killed, though. So we don't know anything about this guy anymore. He was killed. He's dead. So this guy is donezo, all right? But here's an interesting piece of information. Speaking of the feds, he was on the FBI's radar. He was investigated after Jan 6th. So they knew about this guy. They thought he was a threat, and they let him basically get away with this. I mean, I don't know how else you can describe this. The feds apparently were aware that he was kind of crazy. But here's the part that I do find a little bit disconcerting, is that Donald Trump, Truth Social, is going to hand over all user data to the feds. So I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It appears, though, that notes in its fine print that it would turn over user information to the feds. Trump's Truth Social, a social media platform designed to be an inviting, nonpartisan Big Tent of ideas, was a hotbed of outrage after FBI agents searched the former president's Mar-A-Lago home last week. Some users made threats against the FBI and vowed war was beginning, but anonymous posts won't offer much protection against possible prosecution. According to the site's fine print, Truth Social will turn over user information in compliance with law enforcement, just like other social media sites. In its guidelines for law enforcement, Truth Social states that it complies with court orders to reveal user information, restrict access to accounts, or preserve posts. The site also works with law enforcement on emergency requests, where they quickly turn over user information when it appears as an immediate threat. If we receive information that provides us with a good faith belief that there is an exigent emergency involving a danger or death of serious physical injury of a person, we may provide any available information necessary to prevent that harm, the website states. So it's possible that Truth Social is going to give your information over if you talked shit about the FBI. The other thing about the FBI is that right now there is an ongoing debate of whether or not to just defund them. GOP reps Marjorie Taylor Greene and Dan Crenshaw is Rhino, are feuding again, this time over whether the FBI should be defunded over the Mar-A-Lago raid. And I believe that the FBI should be defunded. I don't know how you guys feel. I guess I'll put another poll up here. Did they sniff her panties? It's a 97% voting. Yes, they sniffed her panties. So let me ask you guys another question. Should the FBI be... should we say disbanded? Yeah. Let me see what you guys think. There's a real hard yes on that they sniffed Melania's panties. I agree with that, probably. House Republicans Marjorie Taylor Greene and Dan Crenshaw have been embroiled in yet another tiff, this time over whether the FBI should be defunded. Last week, Greene was among several Republican lawmakers who called for the agency to be destroyed and defunded. This was after the FBI executed a search warrant at former President Donald Trump's Mar-A-Lago residence in Florida. In response to the search, which has since been revealed to be part of a probe into whether Trump mishandled classified documents, something that they said that he had not done literally a month beforehand, Greene called for the agency's funding to be pulled. She was one of the first lawmakers to tweet her disapproval of the search, posting on Twitter, "Defund the FBI." Greene has since hawked merchandise bearing the slogan, including "Defund the FBI" hats. Greene's position, yes, very based. So we get it, whatever.
Trump does this all the fucking time. It's like a typical Trump move. Hey, look, this is a slogan. Let's make it sell.
Stupid garbage human Dan Crenshaw, who is a complete grifter, of course, has to fight back against this. And so
he does more insider trading than fucking Nancy Pelosi.
Here's what he says. Crenshaw, however, expressed his disapproval of Greene's actions in an interview with Axios. "I'm impressed Democrats finally got us to say defund the FBI," the Texas lawmaker told the outlet. By the way, Dan, your time is fucking numbered. That makes you look unserious when you start talking like that. No, it doesn't. The FBI is out of control. It is not. It is a rogue agency. Green quickly hit back at Crenshaw, similarly hurling the words unserious at her GOP colleague. You know what makes you look unserious to Republican voters? Green tweeted, along with a screenshot of Crenshaw's comments to Axios. Republican politicians who never actually take the bold actions to stop the Democrats' relentless destruction of America. And even worse, those same Republicans who join in the America Last Uniparty. Thank you, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I like her. She's got balls.
I do too. She does have balls. And good on her for saying that, because she's completely freaking right. She's completely goddamn right. And screw Dan Crenshaw. And we have another almost exactly kind of level of split on our poll here. 97% of viewers saying the FBI should be disbanded. I agree. Now,
Gestapo. Yeah, it's agreed.
I have a video. I will play. That's why I have it up through this, because we have to watch. This is not the FBI, but this is the IRS training video.
By the way, all of these IRS agents look like a bunch of soy boy pricks.
Look how chunky they are. All right, I'm gonna play this, and I want you guys to enjoy. Now, these are the hardcore federal agents who have all been given. They just hired 87,000 more of them, and here they are being trained to come and peacefully ask you for your tax money. Let's just watch this for a minute. It's hilarious. Just let it play.
Look at these people. These people wouldn't be able to get money from a child.
They look like one of them's in a freaking wheelchair.
This is what makes the IRS look so unserious.
Wait, it even gets worse. I mean, like, I know, like, look, somebody in a wheelchair can fuck you up. Let's not get confused. Let's not get that shit twisted. But with a firearm, obviously. But this is hilarious.
You guys got everybody here?
Oh, we're all here? We ready for our little training? Whenever you're ready. Oh my god, this is so funny. Here we go. We have our IRS training. IRS, look how fat they all are. Like, oh my god. IRS federal agent.
Where's that shit going? Put your hands up and stop moving. What are you looking for? Do you have any weapons up, sir? What are you looking for? Look for Ashton Campbell. No, sir. Stay put. That is not Ashton Campbell. That is not Ashton Campbell.
It's all fat men, soy boys, and women.
I don't even know who you guys are. I'm not saying a thing. Sir, I'm an IRS special agent. I have the weapons on you. I'm not saying a thing. All right, please get on. I'm not saying a thing. Turn around.
Remember, this is the IRS. They are a tax agency. They are now. They're all armed. Why do you think they're doing this, Spoon?
No.
Why do I actually think of what the thing is actually going to happen? Look at the fact that
what?
they're not even using real guns.
Well, they're
This-
training.
yeah, but this looks just so gay. Like, I'm sorry, but if this is your training, you're not going to get taken seriously as an agency. You look like a fucking joke. Like, can you imagine these people arresting someone else who just says, no, or I'll fuck you up? They'll shit themselves. They'll wet their pants and then run away. These are not serious people. These are children.
So here's the reason why this is happening. Okay,
They're trying to get money.
Yes, we have the reason why this is happening. We know why they have hired.
Yeah, because they want to bankrupt the middle class. That's it. That's the only reason.
Yep, it is exactly why. There's a New York Post article about this,
It
which
is to
the-
introduce economic depression. That's it. That's the only reason.
Biden has signed. Now, when this New York Post article was written, he had not yet signed it. He has signed it as of this morning, which is a $740 billion act that is supposed to do something. It's called the Inflation Reduction Act, I believe, or something to that degree.
Which means it's never going to do that.
Nope. So this is Inflation Reduction Act will cost the middle class $20 billion. So all the middle class, you're going to be taxed $20 billion. You have to understand that what this all is about is to get money back from you. That's why they have hired 87,000 IRS armed agents. The reason is so that if they don't get their money from you, they will show up at your house with a gun and demand the money from you. This is a complete tyrannical, and in my opinion, like they don't like this word. They think this word only applies to the right wing, but it's actually a left wing ideology. Fascist. It is actually fascist action on the part of the American government. Analysis by the CBO estimates those earning less than $400,000, the group on which Biden promised not to raise taxes, will pay an estimated $20 billion more in taxes in the next decade as a result of the Democrat-pushed $740 billion package, which sets aside $80 billion to hire 87,000 IRS agents. The bill has yet to be scored in its entirety by the CBO, which typically gives each piece of legislation a price tag before it is voted on, but they didn't really care this time. But the agency scored the impact.
Chat right now.
English people?
Yes.
I don't know. Who is a Brit Bong and who is an American in chat? Sound off, I suppose. I'm
because Elon released a meme, and this was the funniest fucking thing I've seen him post ever.
What is it?
That meme.
Which is? Oh, where'd you post it?
It's look at the stream.
Mm.
Oh, that is fucking good. That is an outstanding meme. That is like the best meme ever. Like I swear to God, it's not even close. That's so.
I know. Oh, Elon knows what's up. The agency has scored the impact of IRS expansion on middle-class taxpayers on August 12th after provision from Senator Mike Crapo, emphasis on the crap, sought to exempt those making under $400,000 from increased. I'm sorry, Mike Crapo, you're better than most of them, to be honest. He was trying to make sure that people making under $400,000 would not have increased IRS scrutiny, but that's not what's happening. Crapo's proposed amendment would have kept those taxpayers from being targeted by the new IRS hires, but his provision was shot down 51-50 in the bill passed by the Senate last week. On Friday, the House approved the bill. Biden is expected to sign it in the coming days. He has now since signed it. The CBO's analysis confirms an earlier report from the Joint Committee on Taxation and found that throwing an extra $80 billion at the IRS to improve the agency's collection of underreported income will end up targeting small business owners, and not just small business owners. It will mostly end up targeting regular people to pay for its own legislation. The IRS is expected to bring in more than $180 billion from other wealthier taxpayers, but let's be clear, the vast majority is going to come from middle to lower middle class people, including small business owners. That's the TLDR of this. Biden massively.
It's almost like governments are complete cunts.
And Biden lies about more things.
Oh, and just by the way, if you wanted to utterly destroy the country, would you do anything different than what it is now?
Nope. I would sure lie about it, though. Biden slammed for claiming the U.S. had zero inflation in July. Did you see this stuff?
I think he meant that month.
He meant that month, but
it's still disingenuous.
It's super disingenuous. Joe Biden stated on Wednesday that the U.S. economy had 0% inflation in July following the latest CPI report. Biden is claiming we saw 0% inflation last month, but there is a 0% chance that's the case. Inflation in July was 8.5%, which is a 40-year high, said a lawmaker. So yes, what Biden meant is that it hadn't increased in July, but that's an incredibly disingenuous way of framing things, right? Everybody who's awake, like Biden is not, knows that, obviously. Also, Kiss of Her 5 Pounds says the FBI, CIA, IRS, NSA, ATF, EPA, etc. should all have complete liquidation and super ultra turbo late term abortions. Hashtag change my mind. Yeah, I do agree with you on that. So yes, all of the inflation, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist as of July because it didn't go up that month. Before I begin today, I want to say a word about the news that came out today relative to the economy Biden began. Actually, I want to say a number, 0, the president added. Today we received news our economy had 0% inflation in the month of July. 0%. The White House press...
That just means it didn't go up from like the 8.5%.
I know. It's up massively in this year. But it didn't go up specifically in July, so he's lying. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre similarly stated on Twitter, "We just received news that our economy had 0% inflation in July." So obviously everyone listening understands the lie here. That he's now, the implication is that there is 0% inflation overall. It's but the reality is that inflation didn't go up in July. It was already up massively. While the price of some things went up, the price of others like gas, clothing, and more dropped. No. They stayed the same. Girl, that's what happened.
Yeah, if it stayed, oh my God, if it's 0, it means there was no increase. It's not a drop, you twat. Jesus fucking Christ.
So they lied. In fact, I have at least seen even some left outlets saying that like this is the worst lie of Biden's career.
Also, if the price of some things went up and others went down, then it has nothing to do with inflation.
It has nothing to do with inflation, exactly. So yeah, so this is all bullshit.
Oh
the obvious.
God.
I know.
These people are so fucking retarded.
They
think
just
you're
hope.
Stupid.
That's the thing. Be aware of that, everybody listening. I know that you all know this, but these people think you're dumber than rocks. And that's why they will say things like 0% inflation, hoping you think that we've now returned to 0% inflation instead of the reality that
it IQ of 60 while their IQ is 65.
Right. Mike Bost, a Republican from Illinois, tweeted, "Biden is claiming we saw 0% inflation last month, but there's a 0% chance that's the case. Inflation in July was 8.5%, which is still a 40-year high." Yes, that is correct. But again, you can see their linguistical fuckery of, "Oh, we just meant there wasn't any more inflation in July." American author Jeffrey Tucker called Biden's 0% inflation claim a bogus math trick, noting, "This is overall 1-month index change. Overall, that means the big drop in fuel, oil, and gas following previous massive monthly increases swamped the huge increases everywhere else." He added, "Using the same tactic, you could also observe a 1-month 19.2% increase in electricity, but of course, would not do that because it's dumb. The actual increase is 15.2%, which we get from calculating year over year." Oh yeah, that's from, sorry, I don't want to, do you want me to go into the statistics of how that works?
Ask the chat.
He's calculating year over year versus independent, one time off. So yes, one time off, you get 19.2% increase, but year over year, which is a longitudinal level increase, is 15.2%. It's the reality is that there's still an increase. Biden saying 0% increase in July, though, still is a nonsense statistic. Rudy Havenstein opined, "For the president and others to publicly claim with a straight face that there was zero inflation last month is gaslighting at an extreme level and insulting and thoughtless. I do not think it will go over well with non-ideologues." Tricia Flanagan wrote, "It's actually 8.5% inflation in July, not 0. Joe, this misunderstanding of basic economics is sad, misleading, and disingenuous." So we could go through it. There's a whole bunch of economists here who are not partisans, who have said, "What are you doing? What world is Biden living in? Americans continue to suffer under Biden's inflation, yet he hasn't brought any food or filled up a gas tank. How out of touch can you be? Sad and disingenuous," said Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy tweeted, "President Biden just said our economy had 0% inflation in the month of July, noting that gas prices up 44%, air 27%, and groceries 13%. He stressed, while you continue to pay for his failures, Biden owes the American people the truth about inflation." So we're in a straight up nightmare backward society where Biden's just able to get away with lying to the public. And barely anyone calls him out.
How's that holding people to account thing working out in America?
It's working out great, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the same time, also, you sent me this article, but this one is very funny, which is we won't read too much of this. Biden's inflation bill made 7,500 electric vehicle tax credits. Ford and GM just raised their prices by the same amount.
So the whole tax credit is basically void.
The tax credit thing is non-existent. Price hikes are comparable to the 7,500 tax credits for new electric vehicles in the $740 billion Inflation Reduction Act, which currently awaits. He's signed it now. It's gone through. Legislation earmarks a total of $369 billion to combat the quote, existential crisis of climate change, according to remarks from Biden.
By the way,
so
did you see this was this bill, this non-inflation bill, was so fucking bad. Even Bernie Sanders said it's not going to do shit.
yeah, because it's retarded.
Yeah, but
It's
hold on a sec. Bernie Sanders, if the socialist tells you to stop spending government money because it will do fuck all, that's when you know you need to get the fuck out of Dodge.
I know.
Like,
all right.
That to me is insane. What, like, Bernie Sanders is the saner guy. Like, holy shit.
You really are in a weird place where Bernie Sanders is telling you you're too far left.
Bernie Sanders is the one who's being economically sane. I need to say that again because it sounds fucking crazy. Bernie Sanders is your economic soundman in the Democratic Party. That is fucking mind-blowing.
All right. So we've got about a half an hour left. Should we go into... I have two topics. I really would like to go in the COVID one, but tell me... I think the COVID one's what we should do. Because I have Lefty Fantasy Insanity World. And that one's got the Amanda Marcotte victimization monopoly, but I want to hold off on it. Hang on, I want to hand off on Amanda Marcotte because I have a new segment I want us to do every week, and that I'm very excited about, is that I have gotten a hold of Amanda Marcotte, her book.
You don't even need to say the name of the book, because the name of the book will instantly give you an implication of what this woman's attitude is like, and she's clearly insane.
Well, I actually should let people know what the name of the book is. It's
the name is pathetic. It sounds like something a teenager would write.
Oh shit, what's it called?
Something like liberal rat fuck, something like that.
It's insane. I have found a copy of it, obviously.
At the bottom of a discount bin.
Sure. It's called Troll Nation: How the Right Became Trump worshipping monsters set on rat fucking liberals, America, and the truth itself. It was a book that was published in 2018. It's one of the most insane things I've ever read. So, would you like to? How about we end with that? The Insane Lefty Fantasy World. Here's the articles I have, and tell me what you would rather cover, Spoon. Nazis are going to rape women without Roe v. Wade. You're the one who sent me that article.
But I did?
Yeah. Clinton calls Bernie a sexist.
That one was really funny.
It is.
I did a video on that. That was really good.
Warren sees and talks about dicks entirely too long.
Oh my god, I didn't see that. I want to read that.
You didn't know about how she talked about penises?
No.
Okay, all right.
Show me this. I want to see this.
Hang on. Are you willing to stay with me for a little bit tonight? We can go a little bit over. We'll do it quick. We'll do it live.
I want to see this. I didn't see this.
Okay. Let's first do Nazis are going to rape all the women. This is how the loss of Roe directly... Okay, hang on. I gotta... Okay, yeah. Why MSNBC? How the loss of Roe... Chrome. How the loss of Roe...
I keep telling this woman, stop using Chrome.
Wow, you're right. How the loss of Roe directly serves white supremacists. Horrifying plot. So this segment is called the Insane Lefty Fantasy World. How the loss of Roe directly serves white supremacists. Horrifying plot. Some white supremacist groups see rape of a white woman as extremely effective way to increase white birth rates.
I've never heard any white conservative make that claim.
The ideology is all the more horrifying. Would you like to take over from Cynthia Miller Idris? And you can tell because her name is hyphenated that she's in a happy relationship. Would you mind to take over for me for a minute? Because this stuff is funny as hell.
Let's see. Reports late last month of the arrest of a former Marine ties with a neo-Nazi group. I looked, by the way, and it doesn't tell me how many members his group has, which makes me think there's about 5 of them.
2, yeah.
Yeah, highlight the dangerous and somewhat convoluted relationship between the white extremists and the state of reproductive rights in the United States. The man, identified as a leader of the neo-Nazi group Rape Krieg, very original, was reportedly spearheading a mass murder of minorities and mass rape of white women to increase production of white children, according to Rolling Stone. Now, you would think if you write shit like this and it's this really massive
Oh,
thing. You would tell
yeah.
how many people are involved in this.
It's nonsense. How about all of this is nonsensical? Like, this doesn't make any sense.
There's
This
like
rape
5
rate, this is
people
all
probably.
fake. It's not even, I don't even think it exists. If it does, it's a freaking false. I do think it's a false flag. Because how would this make any sense from their right-wing perspective? To be like, let's just rape women. No, they want to like have women in a traditional family environment. They don't want to rape them. This is one of a billion examples of the left fundamentally not understanding what the right is about. The right wants to have families. They don't want to just rape women and impregnate them. You are so scuffed in your comprehension of what the right is about. You're dumb. Go ahead, though. Sorry, Sven.
Yeah. The horrific revelations, yeah, I'm sure, are a reminder that white supremacy, male supremacy, and violent extremism go hand in hand. Oh, dear Lord in heaven. Minorities and white women are targets of an ideology that both seeks to reduce non-white populations and to increase the white ones. For this and other white extremist supremacist groups.
Really quick, can I say something about that, though? Is that like the whole leftist apparatus has said that, yes, we are replacing white people and it's great and you can't do anything about it. Ha ha ha. Like, they say that openly.
Yeah, they openly boast about that.
So, I mean, like, by the way, this story is fake. Let's be honest. Like, there's no way this is real. I mean, if it is real, it's horrifying. I just don't believe it.
I did look, but instantly when someone tells me there's a group and you don't tell me how many people are in the group and you supposedly penetrated it,
and you don't
it
have
makes me
any
think-
evidence for
yeah,
any of it?
it makes me think that there's virtually no one. It's just a
Excuse
scare
me.
tactic.
Yeah, where's the evidence for this happening? Oh, there is none, so you made it up.
Yeah, so
It's fiction.
Yeah, I call bollocks.
We made it up.
It's these groups fear possible declining white birth rates that you openly boast about constantly. Okay.
But how happy you are that white people are dying now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And think demographic change is part of an orchestrated plot to end the white race. That's because
You talk about it
because you talk
happily.
about it. Yes.
Like the left there's people on the left who actively are like, yay, white people are dying out. And then then when white people are like, hey, look, white
That's
people
a
are
fucking
dying
thing to
out.
say.
But that's what they do. And then when white people notice it, all of a sudden they notice what you're saying and bragging about.
Then you call it
It's a
conspiracy theory,
theory. Excuse me, like, you have to pick one. It has be happy and proud about it and shout it from the heavens that you are very happy that you want white people to die out, or don't pick one. Sorry, go ahead.
I am proudly white and we're better than everyone else. Yeah, it's a claim that's been around for decades. Geez, I wonder why. Could it be because the declining birth rates of white people and you people cheering about it? It could possibly maybe that one.
I mean, again, yeah.
Yeah, in the form of an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory called white genocide. It has nothing to do with Jews, by
How is
the
it
way.
anti-Semitic? How is it
Yeah.
anti-Semitic? That's such fucking bullshit. How is it anti-Semitic?
They're not being replaced by Jews, so that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Jews are 1% of the United States population.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
I
and
don't know
they're
how that
like
makes any sense.
0.001% of, or 0.01% of the entire world population. It is
Yeah.
not anti-Semitic. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with Jews. I don't know. That shit is so fake. It's just to be like, you're a Nazi. No, we're not talking. White people are being told that, look, even I was told this. I remember this growing up, right? Okay, I was told by many, many people all around me, and I grew up in I'm a millennial, so I'm a bit older than a lot of these Zoomers, obviously, that, oh, don't you want a little brown baby? Because brown babies are so cute. They're the cutest. You don't really want... Okay, I dated a black guy when I was in graduate school, right? Really smart guy. He was also in graduate school. This was like people now when people like freak out and like, oh my god, Aiden dated a black guy, fucking they freak out. It's like, no, okay, I don't. If that's like, you're not gonna want to listen to what I have to say because I dated a black guy who was in graduate school, then I'm sorry, whatever. Anyway, but what I did notice is that all my life I had always been told, like, oh, babies are gross. You don't want to have a baby because babies are such a pain. Until I dated a black guy. And the second I started dating a black guy, who was a very intelligent, a normal person who I'm still friends with to this day, then all of a sudden, all my friends came out of the woodwork and was like, oh, you have to have cute little mixed race babies. I'd never heard that shit from any of those people ever before in my fucking life. And then all of a sudden, the second I dated a black guy for 6 months, we did it for like 8 months, that oh, you should have a baby with him. Like, what the fuck happened to all of you? You've changed your mind on everything. was really freaking bizarre to me, and I did notice it. It was really weird.
I can spin this in. I can spin this in a different way.
Hmm.
They were trying to cleanse his race with your genes.
Well, I don't know what it was. Like it was really even even at the time when I wasn't very politically involved. I noticed it was
If
like
you think there's
really
a
weird.
white supremacy thing, then it is your obligation to make their race better by mixing with yours.
Well, it was
I'm
bizarre
going by
to
their
me.
ideology, by the way.
Yeah, it was bizarre to me. Again, I'd literally had the same people in my life tell me that like having a baby was terrible and it was selfish and stuff like that. You know what I
Only
mean?
white ones with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Well, it was weird. I had been told over and over again that it was selfish to have a baby, and then the second that I dated a black guy for like 6 months, who like
Yeah, it is
we
more weird, I
were
agree.
we were both in grad school. Like it wasn't that kind of stuff. Who, by the way, is like a super normal guy who just likes fighting games and stuff. Like normal dude. All of a sudden, it was we have to do this weird. Oh, wouldn't it? Oh, it would be so cute if you had these mixed race babies because mixed race babies are so cute. And I was like, what the fuck? Like you never said this shit to me before. You know what I mean? You never told me to have a baby before. In fact, you were totally against it. Now all of a sudden, I
Stick
had
with the
people
Asians.
on Facebook, not in real life, but on Facebook, coming out and saying that crap to me. It was really goddamn weird.
How's it going again? All right,
Oh, let's go back and did we get through this? Okay.
it's a claim that's been around for decades in the form of an anti-Semitic conspiracy called white genocide and an Islamophobic conspiracy theory called Eurabia. I've never heard that one before, by the way.
No,
And these
mind.
conspiracies have gotten new life as the global Great Replacement conspiracy has grown and been mainstream.
You called
Yes,
it Great
yes.
Replacement.
Yes, and
That
you
was your
mainstreamed
term.
it. You fucking
It was your freaking term, and that keeps happening. It's like the left creates terms, and the right's like, look at this weird shit the left wants to do,
Yes,
and then the
'cause
left's like, no, we
The
don't.
left only has projection. It's literally all
You
they
made
have.
that up. Wait, but we got it from you. All right. Sorry, continue, please.
And so this creates considerable contradictions when it comes to women's reproductive rights. Abortion is seen by white extremists as part of the so-called white genocide plot. And in that sense, reproductive rights are what they are called white extinction anxiety. The loss of Roe versus Wade in this scenario directly serves white supremacist extremist goals as long as it is white babies who cannot be aborted, as NPR has reported. Prominent white supremacists have called at times called abortion to be banned for white
Real
women,
quick.
but for the accessible and even free for women of color. Okay, I've never heard that
Okay,
before.
this part makes me really, really upset because one of the things that I've been so upset about abortion is because abortion has, in the United States, the rights to abortion, and particularly because Planned Parenthoods have been largely placed in historically Black communities, have conducted what I believe to be, and I have said this, so I think the fourth time I've said it on this channel, because I've taken note of it, a genocide against Black people in the United States. And I refuse to call it anything but that. What has happened as a result of Planned Parenthood in the United States is a Black genocide. I refuse to call it anything but that. It is a Black genocide. So, sorry if you'd like to finish the article. There's a bit more. Oh god, this is long. This is a really dumb article, but if you'd like to continue, I don't know how much more you want to read of it.
It's what the same conclusions hold true for rape word. Well, the rape of white women by non-white men is used to generate outrage. Yeah, because it's a crime, you fucking retards.
Yeah,
and it's
rape,
a
it's a
rallying
crime.
call to unite and fight back. Yeah, that's
Dude, that's
generally
insane.
how crime works.
They're basically here saying that, like, if a woman's raped by a white woman's raped by a non-white person, how dare you report it as a rape?
Yeah. If it produces
Jesus
white
Christ.
babies, I've never seen anyone say, "Hey, look, rape is
It's not
great.
that
It produces white children." Like, what the fuck?
No, this is nobody believes this.
Yeah.
Cynthia, you have a weird sexual fetish going on, okay? Something is wrong in your brain, Cynthia. Like, there is something sincerely wrong with you. I don't know how much more you want to go through this. This is just insane. Like, it's just her. You want to go through with it?
Yeah, no, it's dumb.
It's really dumb. The reality is that Cynthia is saying that Roe v. Wade means that white men are gonna come out of the woodwork and rape people.
Which is really stupid.
It's
and a
insane.
dumb thing to
It's
say,
not
and it
based in
is
reality.
completely insane.
I'm gonna read our super chats here for a minute. Dear Affidi for 5 says, reminds me of when COVID checks for $600 came out, so Walmart and all other big box stores put TVs on sale for $5.99. Yeah, interesting, right? Interesting. And then Kizza for £5 says, on a scale of 0 to over 9,000, how utterly moronic is this woman? Answers on a postcard. I don't know if that's the one we were just talking about, but Kizza for another 5 says, I have a Substack of all articles bragging about white replacement if anyone wants it during my break at midnight. Absolutely check that out. And Kizza for another £5, thank you, Kizza, says, all anti-whites should be deported to third world shitholes if they hate white people and white nations so much. I do agree with that.
Based. Agreed.
I do agree with that. If you hate white people so much, you can finish most of these articles. I'm trying to get through a couple so we can finish off the stuff that we have. I would like to...
I'm sleepy.
Stop.
What do you mean stop?
Stop, because we got Hillary Clinton calls Bernie Sanders sexist in new book.
Oh, this is great. I did a video on this because it was very funny.
Real quick, Hillary Clinton has ripped her 2016 Democratic primary rival, socialist Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, as a male chauvinist in a new book, hinting darkly that, quote, I know the kinds of things he says about women and to women. The former Secretary of State...
How does your husband treat women, Hillary?
He fucks them. That's what he does. The former Secretary of State's and not
Well, at least
you.
someone
That's
gets
why
pleasure
you're...
from that, by the way.
Dude, like that's why she's so angry. Like she can't get any dick. Like that's why I have to imagine
I
that's
don't
why
think she
she's
wants
so
to. I
angry.
think she's gay.
You think she's gay?
Yeah.
Huh.
Was it Eddie Griffin that says she wears more pantsuits than her brother at a funeral?
It
It's
is
true.
weird. Former Secretary of State's insinuation is included in the forthcoming book, Electable. You were not electable, by the way, Hillary. By NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitali, which focuses on the 2020 presidential campaign and the preponderance of female candidates who sought the Democratic presidential nomination that year. One of the subplots of the book, which was exerted by Politico, we're not going to look at the Politico article because it's long as hell, is the running drama between Sanders and his fellow left-winger, Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, which climaxed in the hot mic moment during a 2020 debate in Iowa. We're going to look at that just for a minute. That spat spilled into the headlines after Warren accused Sanders of telling her in private that a woman couldn't win the presidency. He denied making the statement during the debate, prompting a furious Warren to approach him after the event with her microphone still on, where she yelled at him. It was really funny. I think you called me a liar on national TV, Warren told Sanders, who responded with, what? Warren repeated herself. Sanders tried to shrug her off, saying, let's not do it right now. You want to have the discussion, we'll have the discussion. Clinton, who was watching the altercation unfold, told Vitale, I believed her because I know Sanders and I know the kinds of things he says about women and to women.
No, you
So,
don't.
I know. So I thought she was telling an accurate version of the conversation they'd had. However, the former First Lady added that she wished that Warren had gone after Sanders over his denial in the middle of the debate rather than confronting him afterwards. Look at this picture they use here in the New York Post. I mean, it's a New York Post. It's a right-wing outlet. But they have Sanders looking like he's doing a little Sieg Heil. You know what I mean?
Scroll down.
It doesn't really matter. Here's the... Here
yeah,
is
I see what
the
you mean now.
long as fuck. I do have it up. This is why I'm not going to go through this. This is long as fuck. This is the insanely long Politico puff piece. I don't actually want to read it. Where Sanders calls.
Send that to me because I feel like it's
actually,
funny.
Oh yeah, it's Elizabeth Warren who basically just calls Sanders a sexist. It's long as hell. Look at all this shit, guys. We're not going to go through this. The TLDR is that. Look how long this is. Elizabeth Warren, though, the TLDR is Elizabeth Warren called Sanders a sexist. It is like pottery, though. It rhymes. This stuff's insane. Let's change the Obi-Wan of Trump's Darth Vader. This is all in my leftist fantasy world segment. Like, oh my god. Liz Liz Cheney is the Obi-Wan to Trump's Darth Vader. I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. In an act of self-sacrifice, he hopes will hasten the destruction of the evil empire. Kenobi allows Vader to do just that. Dude, I don't even want to read this. Just what is this headline even? Jonathan Capehart, what are you doing, my dude? What are you even doing? Well, I'm trying to get through some shit really quickly. We are not going to do this week. This article is just funny. I just wanted to show you the headline because it's really funny. Spoon covered this one in a video this week. The furor over FBI's search of Mar-A-Lago explained Trump's base loves his narcissism. Ew, look at this. They want me to do something. You covered this Amanda Marcotte article, right, Spoon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so go watch Spoon's coverage of this article. We will not go over it but what I would like to do in future streams is that I have Amanda Marcotte's book. Her book is insane. We're not gonna have time to cover it tonight. Probably we'll try to make I'm hoping we try to make a segment once a week where we can cover a chapter of her book because the chapters are actually not that long. It's a really dumb book and it's really funny. You've read it, some of it, right, Spoon?
Yeah, she's just completely deluded.
Okay.
Like I said in my video, I legitimately think she needs a therapist.
She's unwell.
Yeah, because she is mentally unstable.
I want to get into this so we can get through all of our topics. If you can get me to 12:30, I'd be very happy. CDC.
What? There's no one how I've got to 12:30.
Okay, COVID's over party.
Ooh,
the COVID
yeah.
is over party. CDC ends test to stay for
Come on.
CDC ends test to stay for schools and relaxes COVID rules. With the coronavirus continuing to spread throughout the country, Americans are getting new advice from the federal health agencies on how to live with the virus. The revised guidance released from the CDC and prevention on Thursday lifts the requirements to quarantine if exposed to the virus. De-emphasizes screening people with no symptoms and updates COVID-19 protocols in schools, eliminating recommendation for a test to stay after exposure. And specifically here is the new updates via NPR from the CDC. Those exposed to the virus no longer required to quarantine. Unvaccinated people now have the same guidance as vaccinated people. Why is that? Students can stay in classes after being exposed to the virus. It doesn't matter, even if you haven't. It's no longer recommended to screen those without symptoms. Here it is. This is straight up right from the CDC. COVID's fucking over. It's no longer politically expedient. Now isn't. Is it? Very, very cute. However, there's some very funny things that have come along with this. In particular, I'd like to point out that here over on Twitter, this Albert Bourla, this guy is the CEO of Pfizer. This guy's the CEO of Pfizer, and he says, I would like to let you know I have tested positive for COVID-19. I'm thankful to have received 4 doses of the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine. I'm feeling well while experiencing very mild symptoms. I'm isolating and have started a course of Paxlovid. Now, be very aware if you guys are not already aware of this word and this item, Paxlovid, because Paxlovid is actually something that has been around for a while, that has been used to treat COVID rather than to vaccinate against it. And now this is what we're doing. It's been around for a while. This is not a new medical treatment. How cute is that? We have come so far in our efforts in this battle with this disease. I'm confident I will have a speedy recovery. I am incredibly grateful to the tireless efforts of my Pfizer colleagues who work to make vaccines and treatments available to me and those around the world. Paxlovid is not approved, but is authorized for emergency use by the FDA to treat mild to moderate COVID and high-risk patients 12 plus weighing in at least 40 kilograms, etc. Paxlovid is going to be the real thing. The reality is that the vaccine does nothing. It does nothing to stop you from getting it. Now, this is not new data. We've known this for 2 years, that these vaccines do nothing to prevent you from getting it. It's just very cute and funny that I would like to say that he got torn the fuck up in this Twitter thread. He got torn the fuck up by people being like, excuse me, didn't you tell me I needed to get this so that I wouldn't get sick? But then it doesn't matter. So the reality is that it doesn't matter at all. And in fact, we have further data from that. Dr. Birx, who was the COVID response coordinator under Trump, admits to Neil Cavuto on Friday that she knew that the COVID-19 vaccines were not going to protect against infection. And I'll just play this here real quick. It's only a minute. I can get it to play.
Well, if you're across the South and you're in the middle of this wave, what's going to save you right now is Paxlovid. But once we get through this wave, during that lull, you should get vaccinated and boosted because we do believe it will protect you, particularly if you're over 70. I knew these vaccines were not going to protect against infection, and I think we overplayed.
She just said it. I knew the vaccines were not going to protect against infection. Were any of you told that over the last 2 years, guys, in the chat? Oh, no, we were told that that's exactly what they did. Oh, okay.
The vaccines, and it made people then worry that it's not going to protect against severe disease and hospitalization. It will, but let's be very clear. 50% of the people who died from the Omicron surge were older, vaccinated. So that's why I'm saying even if...
Just to be clear again, the people who died from Omicron were older, vaccinated people.
You're vaccinated and boosted. If you're unvaccinated right now, the key is testing and Paxlovid. It's effective. It's a great antiviral. And really, that is what's going to save your lives right now.
Why would I believe you?
Which, if you look at the hospital...
You just admitted you lied about everything. You just admitted that you've lied about everything for the last 2 years. You've lied about everything. I have 1 or 2 more things, and then we'll get out of here.
Go on.
Let's watch this real quick. Have you seen this, Spoon? This is insane.
That's one Mark Stein.
Yeah, watch this.
Why is there a reluctance to actually have an honest...
So I know Twitter, or excuse me, YouTube's gonna be very mad about this. This is Dr. Asim Malhotra. He is a doctor. He's read the science on this. He's read the data on this. Listen to what he has to say.
Look at what's causing that.
It's a great question, Mark. So I think with a lot of these things, certainly it's the excess deaths is probably likely multifactorial. So before, let's say, for example, the vaccines came into the equation in terms of the harms, which you've highlighted very consistently on this program, I would have said, okay, this is probably to a large degree being driven by the end result of lockdowns. You know, we know, as a cardiologist, I know how heart disease develops, how people can develop heart attacks quite quickly, how people can have sudden cardiac death, linked to lifestyle factors, including poor diet and stress, right? And we know that people's diets got worse and people are under lots of stress. But to answer your question very specifically, in terms of things that aren't being looked at, so for example, could the vaccine be linked to these excess deaths? That's the question. I would
like to point out, do you see how this tweet has a big misleading fact? This is a actual cardiologist, an actual doctor talking about this. Someone who studied this data. And you see how there's a misleading thing here on Twitter over it? It's because they don't want you to know what the fuck is actually going on. And it's only going to be misleading for about another 2 months, I think.
Then why health officials consider COVID-19 vaccine safe. That's interesting. The distinction is why they consider it safe. Not that it objectively is, but that someone else said so.
I'm telling you guys, it's only going to be about another 2 or 3 months before it's like, oh, actually, we were wrong about all of this, and whoopsie doopsie, you all have cancer now, or whatever. You don't all have cancer, by the way. Like Susan, somebody said, but they didn't know because they didn't conduct the research. And I've been saying this for the last 2 years as a social scientist. The idea that my research is able to get put out as quickly as medical research was so incomprehensibly insane to me that yeah, I knew it was wrong.
It's willful blindness by many people, and I would say, and this is through my own experience speaking to people. So what does that mean? People turning a blind eye in order to feel safe.
Yes, just to feel safe.
Conflict, to reduce anxiety, and to protect prestige. And many people, certainly vaccine injuries are a real thing. There's no doubt about it. The question is, what is the extent of that?
Well, they lied about that for years. They said there was no such thing as a vaccine injury. So
injuries, and how does that balance against what the benefit of the vaccine is? And we haven't got that answer quite precisely yet, but we're getting there. And what I would say for me as a doctor, what really concerned me, and you mentioned it in the letter we wrote to President Biden and Boris Johnson, and actually published in European Scientist, is very eminent doctors, very eminent scientists, Peter Doshi, associated with the BMJ, Robert Kaplan from Stanford. In one of their preprint publications, they were able to get access to new data from Pfizer and Moderna original trials.
This is the crazy part, guys.
And what they found is shocking.
It is.
As you said earlier, that in the trial itself, it appeared that one was more likely to suffer a serious adverse event from the vaccine, so disability, life-changing event, hospitalization, than they were to be hospitalized from COVID. And that was during the more lethal strain.
Yep.
Now, if this is true...
Okay, just to be clear at what he said there. You are more likely to have a serious, life-affecting event from having taken the vaccine than from having just getting COVID. That's from both Pfizer and Moderna, from their own data. Okay? From their own data. And also, Ardent Party, monkeypox vaccine has existed for about 20 years. It's an old vaccine. That's what one's
And this is
been around.
why I am pure-blooded.
I've not taken this. Well, let me finish this, and we have one more thing, and then we're done.
And there's a good reason to suggest that it is, then it changes everything.
No, it does. And
did Pfizer know this? Did Moderna know this?
Yes,
because
of course they fucking
in the
did.
history,
Of course they did. They knew it because it was in their own
Why is
data.
there a
They did it in their own data. But here's the last thing, which is just how cute. CDC to reorganize.
Do you know why they're trying to do this now?
No shit. But
They're
what
trying
do you
to
think?
avoid a fucking lawsuit.
Obviously.
Now it's like, oh, look, we have to make things as back to normal as quickly as we can because we have to make people forget about this because the more information comes out, we're going to get fucking flamed.
I'm very deeply upset because there's a lot of people who are going to get cancer and who are going to have other serious diseases, and none of it's going to be covered at all. But real quickly, what it says here is the head of the nation's top public health agency on Wednesday announced a shakeup in the organization intended to make it more nimble. The planned changes at the CDC, leaders called it a reset, come amid ongoing criticism of the agency's response to COVID-19, monkeypox, and other public health threats. Changes include internal staffing, moves, and steps to speed up data releases. The CDC's director, Rochelle Walensky, who's crazy, told the agency's staff about the changes on Wednesday. It's a CDC initiative and was not directed by the White House and other administration officials, she said. It's fine that she pointed it out, which almost instantly means that it was, right? She's like, no, the White House didn't tell us to do it. That means the White House told them to do it.
And by the way, to all the people that called me selfish and stupid and I don't know what the hell I'm doing because I didn't wear the mask and I completely ignored the entire so-called scientific narrative. You can all suck my dick. You can fuck off. I was right and you were all wrong. And
I wouldn't go that far. I don't mean that mean. People did what they thought was best for them. I also didn't wear a mask.
No. People thought what was best because their shiny idiot box in their fucking living room told them. I didn't obey any of this because I looked at them and went, hey, look, the entire world is doing the same thing. There is no fucking hell that this isn't going to be exploited. And I was right because that's just common fucking sense.
Okay, so in other words, the CDC is trying to reorganize themselves because they know that they're in really big trouble because they've done horrible things to the American people. Let me read the last of our super chats, then we'll head out. What? Okay. Kizza for £5. Thank you, Kizza, so much. Says Obi-Wan was exposed as a liar in the original trilogy, and he didn't become more powerful. He got weaker as he failed as a master twice. That is true, actually. And Kizza for another £5 says, this is the same company that has the largest fine in U.S. history. Why would anyone trust them? About Pfizer, Pfizer's a little bit fucked, right? Dreadnought for $5 says, as a non-vax pureblood, I admit that I am feeling incredibly validated and smug right now. Me too, my dude. Me too. That said, also worried about friends who got it. That's the thing that actually scares me is that both my parents got it and my mother got it because she was forced to because of her job. I was working with children. My dad's retired. My dad got it because he said he didn't want to die of COVID, essentially. And I'm very worried about my dad.
It's funny in my family because my mother works at a private clinic, and she just like flat out refused to get it, and all of her co-workers got it, and like took the boosters. What the fuck? I have no idea why. And my father was incredibly paranoid, and my mother essentially just said to him, "Don't be a jackass and don't take this stupid thing." And my mother essentially like bullied my dad, but like just I wouldn't say like propagandized him, but like just like it's basically said to him, "What the fucking hell are you stupid? Are you taking like how do you not see the world that this is some bullshit going on?" And she just basically scared him into not getting it.
It scares the shit out of me. Like
So like I gotta give my mom props for that, for just like scaring the shit out of me.
I mean, like I love my dad. I'm
Fucking
super
babe.
close to my dad. I think that this is, and by the way, here's the thing I think that probably is accurate. If you want to like look at women on the internet and figure out like how what's the right word? Measured and what's the right word? Acclimated they are to society. Ask them about their relationship with their dad, right? Like, you know what I mean? I love my dad. So like when my dad told me he got that shot, I was like, ooh, I was really scared because I am scared now because if anything happened to my dad, oh my god, dude, like if anything happens to my dad, I'm dead. I'm done for like at least a couple months. That doesn't even make sense. Like it's not even like that. It's just that I love my dad.
Yeah,
I just know if something happened to my dad, I wouldn't be able to
function.
I don't know what I don't know what I do. I don't know. Ooh, it'd be really rough.
I've noticed in South Africa the desire to take the NOD among the white population is quite low. So that tells me the proclivity to give the government the giant middle finger is very high in the South African white race. It's a thing with us, is we don't trust authority. Like, excellent. It's a good thing. It's in my DNA. Like the state can fuck off. Yes, based.
We had 2 more messages. Also, Kissa for £5 says, "Let's also ignore the fact the UK government asked via FOIA." Freedom of Information Act, why they're not liable, of which they admitted if the public knew they wouldn't get it. Yes, you are correct.
That's arrogant as fuck,
fucked
by
up
the
shit.
way.
No, you just won't understand it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Don't
Oh my god,
understand why
that drives me nuts. That
fucking
drives me
arrogant
fucking
cunts.
nuts. And Dear Fitty for $5 says, only wore a mask once during the entire shamdemic. And that was for the 15 minutes it took me to vote for Trump in 2020. Very based, my dude. Very, very based.
I think I wore a mask like 3 times, and by the fourth
We had
time,
to over here.
by the fourth time, I just looked around at everyone doing the same thing, and I just went, "I'm not doing this anymore," and I just took it off, and I didn't put it back on since then.
Dude, we had to actually, as recently as like October of last year, we went to a grocery store and Bill was like, no, we're supposed to wear masks again here in the here in the island. I was like, what? It was like after basically everything was over. Like it was like a year after everything was over, or 6 months after I thought everything was over. But they still they brought it back and they're like, no, you have to wear a mask now. It's really fucking dumb. It was incredibly stupid. It had nothing to do with anything. It was completely pointless. It was, and by the way, guess what? Here's the thing, guys. This entire pandemic was pointless.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with protecting you from getting COVID, because masks don't do anything. By the way, I'm citing the CDC. The CDC says masks don't do anything. Okay? Outside of very specific types of masks, which are the PPE masks. In certain environments. So the entire thing was pointless. It was an exercise
to see how you would react
in how much of a manipulated
humans can be
animal you were. That's what it was about. And I'm sorry that look, I fell into it. Almost all of us fell into it, and we showed how easily manipulated we were. But hopefully not again. We'll have to see, though.
Skeptical I was, because I'm a crazy man who reads all kinds of unusual shit.
Yeah, neon suspenders, they got their data, which is even scarier. Yeah, they know now how to influence people and get them all to follow basically anything they want.
The good old days where I was a crazy man. I went around chasing tumbleweeds.
Well,
I don't know why I'm doing this accent, by the way.
I know. Well, Spoon, I think we're gonna head off for the evening. Do you think so?
Yeah, I am quite sleepy.
I know you're very tired. We got through the whole thing. We got through all my stuff. I got through it really quick. I went boom, 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 boom. We got through all of it.
That's because I said I was sleepy.
I know, and so we went through it very quickly. Anywho, thank you all so much for watching and hanging out, and thank you guys so much for donating to the stream. It really means a lot, particularly because like I had to move into a new house, and it really helps me, and it really does help.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, of course, for always being with me here, my friend Spoon. And we will see you next week. It'll be next Tuesday, of course, which is our stream where we do our D&D game. If you want to watch D&D, you don't want to watch it, don't worry about it. But otherwise, we'll be here next week. And I want to say thank Christian so much for showing up. He was, I think, fantastic to talk to. Do you agree, Spoon?
Mm-hmm.
I think he was really interesting to talk to. So thank you, Christian, so much. And by the way, if you liked Christian, he is linked down in the description. Please go, and he's linked also in the chat. If you'd like to go check out Christian's channel, go check him out. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you all next week.